Well, anyhow, I guess I'll get this started. Here we are, another Saturday night, huh? Yep. So we're up here Saturday Night Live, and I'm gonna wait for a couple more people or for something to show up in the room here before I really get going. There are a few things that I definitely want to talk about. Okay, and I do understand people who make comments that that's not how it is in today's society. Okay, some of the stuff that I tell you, well, that's not how it is in today's world. It's not like that no more. And I have to say this about that. It's not like that no more because of social engineering and because of people not using their brains. And I'm not going to be discriminatory on that. It's actually both genders. It's never been one gender that's caused our problem. It's both genders. But for TFL, it is one gender. It's one gender that's rejecting in 1 to 5 seconds, okay? And the problem still comes back down to the reality. Today's society is hurry, hurry, hurry. Okay, instant for gratification. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Instant gratification. And placing everything, you notice I got changed the picture that you're looking at tonight a little bit up, didn't I? Just look at us all. Just look at us. Everything is backwards. Everything is upside down. Doctors destroy health. Lawyers destroy justice. Psychiatrists destroy minds. Scientists destroy truth. Major media destroys information. Religion destroys spirituality. And governments destroy freedom. And governments destroy the dating scene. Oh, yes. Social engineering has destroyed our minds and has destroyed the dating scene and has divided the genders. And there we are. That's what's really going on. And when I tell people that you have to take the time to get to know one another, oh, I understand that really well for TFLers, don't I? How could they take the time to get to know anybody? Because you're not going to give them the time of day to get to know them, isn't that right? Yes, it is. And so when you don't take the time to get to know somebody, they don't stand a chance, do they? No, they sure don't. But when I look at our divorce rate and I look at what's going on in society, and from living TFL myself, I'm going to give some advice tonight. Okay, that's strong advice. It's real advice. Oh, but it won't go along with today's society. Yeah, well, if you don't take my advice, okay, then there's nothing I can do for you because I lived TFL for 28 years of my life. And because I lived it for 28 years, I can tell you firsthand that it is still possible with all the corruption going on, all the evil, all the women that are doing this, it's still possible to meet somebody. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take work. It's going to take dedication or work on your side. And the first and the most important thing of all, you cannot go out there to look to meet a female. No, it's not about going out looking to meet one. Because in today's society, I guarantee you, as a man, if you go out to look to meet a female, you're going to come home very disappointed and bitter and angry and hateful for trying that. Sad, it shouldn't be that way. You know, the reality is this: the competition between men when it comes to the female gender, as sad as this is to say, it's not even natural. And that ain't no lie. It's not natural at all. It's not normal. It's not natural. But social engineering has done a hell of a job on us. It sure has. The old motto, divide and conquer, flip the real truth upside down on its head. That's where we're at. And I hate to say that, but it's the truth. I would like to see lots of TFLers be able to get out of their TFL, to be able to escape it. No lie, fact. I really would. If I could get TFLers out of the TFL, I would do it in a heartbeat. Because I actually do care about people. I actually care about what's right. I just don't want the corruption. Don't you understand that? I don't want the division that's been created. Men should not be competing against other men. Men should not be having hatred towards other men for wanting the very same thing as the next man. That right there is insanity, okay? To think that somehow is a crime for some other man to want the very same thing you want, it's just complete insanity. Off the Richter scale, it really is. And I just got no help that I can give to you other than to tell you the truth. That's all I can do. And when you say, well, but that's not irrelevant to today's society, well, what's relevant in today's society guarantees you to never have a successful relationship. Guarantees you that it won't work out. This is no accident that this is going on. Never has been. But how do you get that through to people? How do you get them to see this is no accident? You don't listen to mainstream media for one when they give you their advice on mainstream media. It's complete hogwash. When you listen to people up on YouTube like FA, who took his channel down conveniently after the confrontation between um, TFL and Annika, yeah, wow, suddenly Annika's videos are gone and so is Monday's. Oh man, their channel's gone and Annika's videos are gone. And well, of course they are, because they had a confrontation against truth. And that's what it really that's what it really comes down to. Because Monday's message was simply it's the man's fault. It's always the man's fault. I mean, it's got to be the man's fault. Who else's fault could it be? But then that of the man's. That's all that is, okay? And when you get right down to it, okay, there's some bad apples in the crowd amongst men, but in reality, it's not the man's fault. It's social engineering to divide the genders and programming of one side is the women and programming of the other side is the men. So men and women's programming, and then giving one gender power over the other gender. And then that gender playing into that power. This is where this all comes from. Why do you think Girls' Rights what? Kara Stroud got by with saying there's going to be a significant number of men that are not fuckable. Excuse my language, but them are her words, not mine. Okay? And in that reality, it comes down to one thing. It comes down to the fact it's divide and conquer. It is to bring us down. Now let me try this another way. Since that way don't seem to be working, I will try this a different way. I will bring this up, this up, this up, and this up. And try this a third time. And we will see what happens with that. Excuse me, I got interrupted there. Okay, so I was trying to bring somebody into the show, and it appears they disappeared offline. I guess that would be about normal, huh? Anyhow, I'll give it some time and I'll go back to what I was saying. In society today, things are so upside down on their head that it's not even funny. And when I say that it's unnatural for men to compete against other men for the validation of your opposite gender, I'm not lying to you. If you want to know how I got out of TFL, some will say it was just sheer luck. In today's society, I could agree with that statement. Since nobody's taken the time to get to know each other because it's hurry, 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 I'm going to agree with that statement. Because as long as it's hurry, 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 you will always fail, men and women alike. The divorce rate will stay where it's at and continue to grow. The domestic violence will stay where it's at and continue to grow. The hatred of one another will continue to grow, and that's pathetic. And people taking words and just throwing them, okay? It's just annoying, you know? So here I am, the simp, right? Yep. The simp is here. Yep. Nope, I'm not a simp. You know who a simp is? That's a man who covers up for a woman's wrongs. If the woman's clearly in the wrong and you cover up for her wrongs, that is the simp, not the man that merely speaks to a woman. That's not no simp. If a man who speaks to a woman is a simp, then by that very definition, every last man on the face of this planet is a simp. But that's by the definition that's being thrown out in the manosphere, which makes the people throwing it a simp. Yeah, I guess they wasn't smart enough to figure that one out, was they? I gave Hayden Rose some advice last night when he asked for it. And that advice was actually quite simple. You don't go out looking to meet a woman. You don't go to a club or a bar. This would be my advice. Unless you're in a dart league or a pool table league, playing pool. Or maybe you want to get into a bowling league. Whatever tickles your fancy. And you're going to say, why would I want to do that? Well, because if you got into a bowling league as an example, or a dart tournament's a league, or pool leagues, then what happens is you go there to do what you're going there for, not to meet a woman. And in that doing so, you will remove the stress off of your own back. Okay? You will remove the stress off your own back of trying to meet that female. And then you'll be yourself and you won't be under any pressure. Then, if a female comes along and starts talking to you, you just talk back with no expectations of ever going anywhere. One day, if you do that, you might, and I don't put no promises on it, not in today's society, but you might actually meet somebody. That's about the best advice I can give you in today's society. I can't give any other advice than that because it'd be complete hogwash. Okay? And with that being said, Mr. Hulk is here with us. Hello, Steve.
Hey, how you doing, Bill?
I'm doing good, and how are you?
I'm a little under the weather, but I'll get through this.
Okay, well, I hope that gets better for you.
Just take a lot of vitamin C. I got to keep my nasal passages open, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, I can actually hear it in your voice.
Oh, for sure.
I've been drinking a lot of orange juice recently because last week I was really having a lot of what you're telling me you're having now.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was driving me nuts, and I was almost losing my voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I can actually hear it in your voice.
That's okay. I can talk for an hour, so we can kind of just discuss the topic that we wanted to discuss is we're not enemies. Um, and we have a disagreements on things, but that by no means, you know, we're enemies, and no one's going to call each other a simp.
Thank you, Steve. Because no, I like Steve. I always have, guys. Okay, Steve has a great heart. Steve does mean well. He really does. And we have disagreements. But you know what? I don't know anybody in life that ever agreed upon everything anyhow.
Hmm.
Okay, because it's not possible. But we shouldn't be hating on each other because we have a disagreement. Okay?
Hmm.
And that is the way I feel about that. There's no point of hating on one another or attacking one another. Okay? And so I do thank you for coming on here because I know there's people out here that love to see us fight again. And I'd like to break their heart and never have them never see that.
Right.
Because it shouldn't happen, okay? It's just uncalled for. You know. The only thing I could, I was telling people that unfortunately we have this that goes on. We have a lot of corruption. We have corruption on both sides, men and women alike. But when it comes to the females, they've been placed in a position that nobody should be placed in and have a whole lot of power, okay, over the men. And they actually are the ones doing the picking, the choosing, not the men. And that right there should be stopped. But
Bill, it's a situation that's the last week and stuff. I haven't been thinking really about women, and I think you have to get to that point. But the thing about this issue is that I think it is going to become an issue when the years go by. I can't really be the type to tell a 20-year-old how to deal with this because as you and I have more experience, so we kind of know what to expect. Or I feel bad for these younger guys, but they're going to have a tough life ahead of them.
well, that they are, for sure. The only advice I can give people, Hayden Rose, I talked to him yesterday and he asked me my advice on what I should do. And the only advice I could give him outside of isolating him, if he wasn't to isolate himself, was to pick something he likes. And I gave an example of bowling. Okay, there could be pool tournaments or shooting darts or something, right? And to go there with the intentions of doing exactly that and be yourself. Not to go there with the intentions of meeting a female.
Right.
Okay, because what that would do for you, it will put you out around men and women alike, and in the atmosphere around men and women alike, and to be yourself. Because if you go there with no intentions of meeting a female, you're not going to be under the pressure of, am I going to be rejected? And that's about the only best advice I'm able to come up with in today's society because in reality, what that does, it puts you out amongst men and women. And then if you do meet a female along the way doing it, not no promises that you will, okay? But if you do, then you don't want to over exaggerate yourself about, oh, this could be a relationship. Okay? No. Talk to her as you would talk to any other guy or anybody else and be yourself. Okay? If something's going to happen, let it happen organically. Take the time to get to know them. Okay? And, if they're not interested, you're going to know it right away.
Right.
Okay? And if they are interested and they take the time to know you, don't be pushing and rushing to go to bed with them. Really take the time to get to know them. Today's society is rush, 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 rush.
Right.
Okay? And that part needs to go away because the rush, rush, rush guarantees the chances of the had a relationship of working out become slim. And in today's society, the way people treat each other, so many people, men and women alike, are very toxic, narcissists, and you're going to have a hell of a life if you just push and rush it. You can't, so it's hard to give people sound advice, but I'm never going to back down on a man and woman needs to take the time to get to know each other. I'm not saying it's going to happen for you, But if you're ever going to have anything meaningful or successful, that's where it's going to come from.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, it cannot be about getting laid, because if that's all it's about to you, there's probably lots of spots you might be able to go to pay to get laid. And of course, I wouldn't encourage that neither,
No,
because
not
what
at
you
all.
know. And another thing that people don't stop to think about when they rush into a relationship with somebody they don't even know is, how do you know she hasn't got some sexually transmitted disease?
Right.
Maybe you're begging to make yourself sick.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, what's amazing is how many guys will go to a bar and just make share spit with random women, and that, I mean, God, you can catch hepatitis C real easy just uh, kissing with your sloppy spit.
Yes, that's correct. You know, and another message I want to send was, Steve's here. I'm going to say this too. All of the people that want to keep calling names and making trouble that I've removed from my live stream, I have no second guesses about removing you. And I don't care what you say. You can go over to SBO's channel and join the Winers Club. I really don't care. Because I don't want to remove people from my feed. But if you're in here to insult Steve, or in here to insult me and throw names, and you're not going to be real, you're going to be removed. It's as simple as that. And the list seems to be getting bigger. Okay, and that's sad to see that happen, but it's going to get bigger because Steve don't have to put up with it no more than I do, and I'm not going to. You know, because it's just wrong. Because it just means you're full of hate.
No, they could. We could always invite these people into the chat if they want to talk. They can, but that's what you can do. But they don't want to
Most of
take
the
that.
time they don't want, and then I take the chance of them trolling the show, and then I have to end the meeting and restart the meeting to stop them from trolling the show.
Right.
That's the reason I said they have to take the time to get to know me and talk to me. So, you know, when you're throwing names, I'm not going to bring you in to have a debate, because you need to be real.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the way I feel about that. You need to be real. You need to
Bill, I
be here
want to.
because of that.
All right. One thing, Bill, what women will never give up, that I don't care how much they try to empathize with the government, is um, being protected by the state, particularly Big Daddy government. I don't think any woman would give that up. I mean, I don't care how much they say they sympathize with TFL. They can always, you know, women, if they're rich, if women have a good job, they vote Republican. If they don't have great jobs, they vote Democrat. Either way, they've got some benefit in the system, so to speak. I'm not saying all women have it easy, Bill. I know there's one thing I disagree with Help on the Dashboard Light is there's a lot of women working in low paying jobs, lots of them.
I understand that, and I agree with you. There's a lot of women who are not going to give up their power for nothing. And these women, most likely, I can only tell you this: if they're wielding power over you now, why would you ever want to ever get into a relationship with a female like that, anyhow?
Right.
Because, first off, I wouldn't care if we took all the power from the women and you gave it back to men. Give it enough time and it'll be just as bad for the women as it is the men. Because this is what power does for the human mind. I think power amongst each other should be removed. But as far as taking the power away from women that are married to a government, okay, and fully know well what they're doing and don't have no care, they're not, the women like this ain't gonna never give that up.
Well, even your guest last week, I mean, I don't think she would want to give up that type of, if she was down and out in her luck. I mean, if the government's going to give you special treatment, of course you're going to take it. And that's one of the let's face the fact, Bill, human nature being what it is, it's how do you give up a right, an entitlement? If you think about what women have nowadays, they have an entitlement that you'd be crazy to give up. If the government favored you over the other, you can sit there and speak against speak on behalf of the opposite sex, but you're not going to give up that one very thing that puts men in second place.
I understand what you're saying, Steve, and I say that probably applies to a gigantic number of women, but I won't sit and say that it applies to 100% of women for the fact that just like Steve, you live in one spot.
Right.
I live in one spot. See what I'm saying? And there's a whole lot of women out here, and some women may have been just what we're talking about now when they were younger, and as they got older, they changed their mind. Some women, okay, didn't even really see it, okay, because they wasn't paying attention and they don't even recognize it and don't even act out on these behaviors that we're talking about. But that's a very low number, okay? But even so, I wouldn't put it to 100%. And I'm not going to, the woman I had on here last week, okay, she hasn't done nothing to nobody. She's speaking out on men's behalf. And to attack her for doing so, I don't care what people say, that's just right out wrong. Okay? It's just right out wrong. Because this woman is dead serious and really cares. Okay? And I'll tell you right now, she has opened a YouTube channel and she has posted a video.
Okay.
Okay? And she's going to speak out on this stuff, and I'm not going to take that away from her.
Well, this is a good point you made when we talked the other. You said that most of these women that come on into the manosphere, they'll usually tell on themselves. So if your guest what's her name again?
Jana,
Jana. Jana, if Jana is sincere about this, the best way to judge it is by watching her channel and seeing where that goes. I really don't have time, Bill, to watch other people's videos. I'm just not putting it's up to her what she just I'm just saying in the future, I kind of that's why Annika, I knew right away she was a plant. There was just no way you could convince me that she was the real deal. That's why I went on the offensive right away with her because I knew when I got on the chat like 3, 4 weeks ago when I jumped in that chat, she started going on about a guy riding a bicycle to a date. I says, I've got to nip this in the bud now because I knew what she was doing. She was using an anecdote to prove a point, and I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. Like, what guy would go out on a date or drive around on a bicycle saying, "Will you go out with me? Will you go out with me?" I mean, it sounded so like for a woman with a high IQ like she claims, that doesn't seem like a very high IQ move on her part.
well, it wasn't. And on that particular episode, that particular show, I had a lot of trolling going on and using people's names that were already in the chat and other people's names. And it got to a point where my focus was taken off the show because of that, because I kept trying to remove them rather than end the show. Okay. And so it took my mind completely off everything she was saying. And it was Steve that took over because I was busy doing that. And I highly appreciate Steve for that. Okay.
Yeah,
Because it was Steve that took over then and allowed, okay, and allowed that situation to be corralled. That's the reason I changed it up on people because I didn't really have a choice. I had to change it up on people because now I'm not using an ID number, okay, that people can just use a phone, pick up, and call in. Now you have to be actually in my contacts list on Zoom to come in to the live stream.
right.
And I deliberately done that because I'm not going to have somebody controlling us. And if they do troll us, I'll be able to tell in the chat which one's doing it, and I'll be able to remove them for good. That's the
Right.
reason I done that because they interrupted my focus to be able to do that show that Saturday. And the only reason I let Anik on here at all was through Ron Fan, and I only did it because I knew Anik was an agent, and I wanted to bust her.
I wonder if Ron Fan is an agent too.
I don't think he is, but he might be. I think he's just chasing that pussy. I hate to
Well, let
say
me
that, but I think that's what it is.
so both Annika and Chad Mundy have left the scene, right?
Yep, and they both actually left the scene. And I find it coincidental how they left the scene. You got towards poor timing, Mitchell. I can't answer that right now. I know he probably wants to come in through an ID number, but I can't rattle that off. Okay.
Well, what you could do, Bill, is pause your mic and call him up and tell him to copy down the number. He can go in that way too.
Well, you know,
Or,
I did that once, Steve, and I got two options for pausing the mic, and I thought I had it paused, and everybody was still hearing what I was saying.
mhm.
And I don't want that to happen.
Okay, what I
You,
can do is I can call Mitchell and have him come in if you want.
yeah, you got the ID number. You're in the chat, so look up and write that down, and you can do it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
That I wouldn't mind. I just don't want to take a chance, and I think it's paused and it's not.
Yeah. I'll give him the ID number now. Go ahead. I'll pause my own. Why don't you pause my microphone, okay? Can you
Okay.
do that?
Let
You
me
do
try
that?
to bring. I had Hayden in here, and for some
Hold on.
reason, it appears that he left the chat or got booted. That makes no sense. But let me pause your. Okay, it's paused. Hayden, can you hear me?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
I hear you. You were there, and then you were
Yeah, I
gone.
was there. I could see the video and hear the talking, but I couldn't actually hear the audio. So I had to get to the app because I was actually watching the YouTube video whenever you called. So maybe that was why.
That could be because no, I never removed you. Just when I
Yeah,
went to just when I went to say hi to you, you were gone.
yeah. Whenever I came in, I couldn't hear anything, so I had to get out. Something was wrong with the audio, but we're good now.
Yes, you are. I can hear you. They can hear you. You know.
Good deal.
And so what I'm going to say is this: we all live in one specific spot. Okay. We don't live all over the world. Okay. There's no way we can live all over the world. Okay. And I know that there's still good women out here. Okay. But the problem is we've never had women come up, and when women do, they get attacked. Okay. And the reality is this: if you complain about you can't get out of TFL or incel, but you're going to have hatred towards all women and attack a woman immediately, then you really can't complain about living TFL or incel no more because you're actually creating your own. I understand we've all been screwed over. I understand how unfair it is. I understand how evil it is. And I understand how it feels and how wrong it is having your opposite gender wielding power over you. And I agree with that. Okay. But to lump every single woman into the category, worldwide into that category, is complete insanity because it's not true whatsoever. And when you get a woman who's good that wants to come up and fight your battle, help you fight the battle, and you're going to attack her, no, because if she's actually got another alternative or motive behind it, she's going to wind up telling on herself. She really will. But don't be attacking them.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I mean, there are good women out there like Jaina. Um, I just think it would be a lot more difficult to find younger women my age in their early 20s, 30s who would be willing to have the same amount of courage to stand up for men's issues, even if they know it's right. You know what I mean?
I think it's asking a lot, Bill, to expect that women are going to raise their daughters like that. I mean, Jana says she scolds her daughter for speaking out against men, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's her daughter, and she does love her.
I understand this. Okay, but at the same token, her daughter grew up in the same world that's even more toxic than when she was young, considering she's your age, Steve. Okay, so it's even more toxic for her daughter now than what it was when she was young. Okay, and she can't be there to control her daughter's every action when her daughter's a young adult not living at home. She can scold her daughter, but will that, it's going to be up to her daughter ultimately to see and understand and not wield that power or play into that. Okay, that's all I. And if her daughter continue to do it, maybe Jada speaking out, she sees her mom speaking out, Maybe she'll back up and think and change her mind and start looking. Maybe she won't. But ultimately, the women who are trying to deceive us will tell on themselves. At which point, then, of course, I would say you get caught out for deceiving people. It's because you brought it on yourself. Okay, that's the way I go with that. Then you brought it on yourself. You can't blame other people for it if you do it yourself. And we also have Mitchell with us. Hello, Mitchell.
Hey, how you doing, Bill?
Good. And how are you?
Pretty good.
And thank you, Steve, for doing that. And so, but
What's
that's
the
right. Go ahead, Mitchell.
what's the topic about today?
Well, I was just talking a little bit about what happened on last night's live stream this time and trying to give young men advice. Okay. And there's no guarantees on this advice. Okay. Because you can't put guarantees on it. But it's like I told Hayden yesterday night. If he picks something he likes to do and gets involved in it, whether it was bowling or shooting darts or pool or whatever he picks, right? And goes there with the intentions of only doing what he's going there for and not looking for a woman when he goes there, that's not what's in his mind. So there's where he goes there being himself, not under pressure to meet a woman. Then I think he stands a better chance of possibly meeting a woman one day. But all of this is time consuming. Okay, it really is. It's a time consuming thing to get to meet somebody, and then will they take the time to get to know you? Because the biggest failure in society is people really ain't taking the time to know each other. They're rushing into everything.
That's why even with women, um, that's why a lot of women end up in these abusive relationships because they don't take the time to get to know the person they're getting involved with.
Yes,
It even, it even becomes a double-edged sword, Bill.
it really is. And and I see that all the time. People not taking the time to get to know one another. The woman's gloating all this power over you. She's going by lust, or she's going by what career you have, or the thing she's using, which is superficial, that guarantees the relationship's going to be a failure. It's just like men, okay, that abuse women or angry men. I mean, the reality is, in my life, I've witnessed both sides of this. And I do know if you're ever going to get a chance to meet a woman and have anything meaningful, it takes time and it takes work. And I don't think people want to put the time and work into it. Okay. But as far as all the women out there that are rejecting in 1 to 5 seconds, that are wielding power over the man because they know the government's on their side, these are already very toxic women. Okay? And if you meet a girl and she's fucking bossing you around or she starts throwing slurs, and she seems toxic, run.
That includes, guy friends, all that.
Yes.
There's a lot of different kinds of toxic people. Like I've had guy friends that were very toxic as well.
Yeah. Well, see, that's just it. Because, see, it's not one sided when it comes to people being toxic. That's both sides. Okay? And the other thing that I tell people and they don't understand it is, okay, we have programming on both sides, and we already know that one gender wields all the choice, right? But we also know that men are doing all the work, all the hitting and approaching, right? So then
Well,
in the majority of cases, we know this. So I tell people, try to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. If you was in a woman's shoes who's already got somebody in her life they love and are with, and you're a guy and you keep hitting on her even after she's told you she was with somebody, because a woman's constantly being hit on, constantly, all the time being hit on. The guy's not getting hit on at all, unless he's super, super lucky, right?
that usually doesn't happen. And what I've noticed today is even most guys are not, out there trying to hit on all these different women. Most guys today are going to tend to be more reserved and more aloof. And the harder you try to meet these people, the worse you're going to make it for yourself.
Yes. And well, that's it. you're going to make it worse for yourself. And if you got a woman who's running you around the house and controlling you, and it's all about her and all about her and all about her, and nothing's about you and nothing's about you, okay? Run, get rid of it. That would be my advice. Run and get rid of it. But we know there's a lot of guys that struggled for years just to get with one woman, so they'll just keep taking the abuse because they're so afraid of being alone again. So they'll keep taking the abuse.
I had this friend of mine when I lived in Humboldt County almost 2 decades ago, and he actually was telling me that we're screwing our guys are screwing themselves because we act on our loneliness, we act on it, we live off our loneliness, and that's what inevitably bites us in the ass.
It is. It is. Mitchell,
I mean,
there is
we got to
something.
learn.
Yeah, but Mitchell, there is something I want you to do. Okay, and try to remember to do it because our show got trolled 2 weeks in a row, and I changed up how we're doing it. Okay, if it was Steve Hoke, I'm telling him thank you for giving you the ID number to come in
Yeah,
tonight.
I got that.
Okay, so get Zoom on your phone and send me a friend's request so you can be in the Zoom contact list. That way, when you want to come in, I can bring you in that way. Because I don't want to put the ID number on the show, because for sure if I do, we'll get trolled.
What's with these trolls? I mean, they really don't make any sense.
To interfere with and laugh, it's a game to them. To them, it's all a game. They're having fun doing it because they don't like what we're talking about. And most people don't like what somebody's talking about or don't like a movie, they change the channel. But these people are so stuck up on this topic that they're going to come back faithfully just to troll the show because they're loving what they're doing. Okay, which means they definitely have issues that need to be worked out.
Well, actually, these very same people are people that are also going to be experiencing, quote unquote TFL.
Oh, yes, I'll guarantee the majority of our trolls are TFLers.
It's a lot more of them than you think. You have to remember, it's a world. I think it's a world it's going to be rough on everybody.
Right.
I mean, alienation in our country, alienation, in the world. It's a very, serious issue.
It is. And we got Hayden in here, and I want Hayden to tell a little bit just what he's experienced and how it is for him and what he sees in the area he's in.
Hey, Mitchell, how are you doing tonight?
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, brother. Well, I'm 24 years old. I'm from Dallas, Texas. So, I've been seeing a lot of things that Steve mentions, Bill mentions, and also Held by the Dashboard. I've been seeing a lot of oofy goofy guys running around with women, and I myself, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm kind of middle of the road, just like Steve says, but I kind of tend to lean a little bit more towards the masculine side. Maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, if you had to rate me on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the alpha, 1 being the oofy goofy, I'd probably land somewhere around a 6, 6.5. I work a full-time job. I make a good living for myself. Got my own place, own car, all that stuff, but none of it's really been any benefit to me at all in terms of the dating arena, because a lot of these women, they either want, a lot of them, they just want to be the boss. They want to be the one in control. And if you're a masculine guy and if you don't take shit from women, they won't give you a chance.
I really don't know what it is. I think for some of this, it's actually just kind of hard. What I've noticed, because I'm originally from the Philadelphia area and I'm in Oregon now, but what I've noticed in my life experiences, there's some guys that know how to communicate with women in a way that they just really know how to smooth their way in. where a lot of
Mhm.
us, whether we look good or not, we just don't have that kind of skill or that kind of harmonics.
Right.
That's what I've noticed. It's not even a matter of like who's masculine, who's less masculine. I think some people have a certain skill, a certain kind of communication skill, where they just pretty much get their foot in the door.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Have you ever had certain friends that they could actually go up to a whole group of people and just get themselves right into the conversation, where a lot of us, if we'd even tried that, we pretty much put our foot in our mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think there's some
that's
people.
actually a social
Yeah. I know what
skill.
you're talking about.
I know what Mitch was talking about, and that's social skills, okay? And there could very well be social skill problems going on for a lot of men, and they don't even know it, okay? But the one thing I can say is for the guys that are rejected in 1 to 5 seconds, I'm sorry, there ain't no social skills about that, okay?
Right.
When you're rejected in 1 to 5 seconds, you can't say it's a social skill.
No, I guess you really can't. I mean, that's why, look, for me, if I'm going to, try to connect with someone, it's best to do it in a less direct way, and it's best to do it in a way that we're not out there looking for it.
Yeah.
Right. More of a organic type of a nature.
Let it happen naturally.
Yes.
That's a great.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Aiden.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, yeah, that's a great point, Mitchell, because you're right. Going back to high school, I had friends that I was playing football with and whatnot that just seemed to have this charisma and this aura about them everywhere they went, and no matter what happened, no matter what the situation was, they just always seemed to have that edge that it took to make it happen socially, not just with women but with also connecting with other men. My father is that way, but I don't have that in me. I have to experience positive reinforcement from people in order to know that I can have the confidence to speak with them, because one thing they're always preaching in the pickup artistry community is that you have to know how to flirt with women, seduce them, and all this other stuff. But in my opinion, maybe 60 to 70% of your ability to flirt and entice a woman is her reciprocating the flirtatious language back to you and giving you the positive reinforcement. So if you're trying to flirt with a woman or communicate with anybody and they're not giving you that positive reinforcement, they're just giving you 1 or 2 word replies when you try to strike up a conversation with them, it's going to be really hard for you to build that confidence to be able to socialize.
Right. If they're not receptive, I generally know enough to leave them the hell alone. To hell with them.
Right.
That would be true. Do you guys remember Dave? He's
Mhm.
been on the show, okay? Dave right now is in Florida at Disney World, and we were talking on the phone the other night, and he was telling me what he was seeing, okay? He's looking at hundreds of people in the park, and he's walking around all day with his family, and he's observing while he's doing it and not saying anything. He was seeing good looking guys, 6'2", 6'4", and above. Every single couple he saw, with the exception of one, okay, this is what the couples was. And whether you realize that or not, that's still social engineering. Because when's the last time you seen a guy and a gal on any TV show anywhere that were the same height?
Mm.
Now
I usually don't see it.
yeah. Now I know that Hayden's telling me he's pretty tall himself, right?
Yes, sir. 6'1".
Okay, and in your area, that's not done you a damn bit of good, has it?
Not at all.
Okay, so I think a lot of what Mitchell's seeing is reality, okay? And I believe a lot of that is still social engineering, because what do they tell us the man is in gender roles? He's not just the provider, because we really don't need men for providers no more, do we? Because we have
No.
women in the workplace, women out earning men. So slash out the provider, but the man's still the protector, right? And
I
if the,
think
go ahead, Mitchell.
I don't know. I mean, I think they want the whole package, but it's a lot of it. Like I was telling I was telling Steve, for years, in a sense, where it goes along with that. A lot of what you're experiencing is all economically based.
Yeah, but you know what's sad about that? Because you're not going to never find real love through your need for your wants. If all it is about your own wants, your own wants, and you expect him to be some illusion you have in your head, okay? I mean, I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter. That's right out wrong. That's not love. That's not going to lead to a good relationship. That's going to lead to selfishness and self entitlement.
A lot of there's a lot of women that unfortunately they get sucked in with these people. There's a lot of women that they themselves have don't have confidence and can get sucked in with these jerks.
That I would agree with. There is, okay? There definitely is. Because the one thing that I know to be fact is when it comes to genders and it comes to people abusing one another, it's happening on both sides. It's not one sided, okay? But when it comes to guys being rejected, okay, that's pretty much on one side. Okay, I'm not saying there ain't women being rejected, okay, but when we start looking at the numbers, women can't even compare to that. And how would women know this is going on? Just think about it from this aspect. A woman's young, she's going along with social engineering just like guys are, right? She goes out and she picks who she wants, and maybe she's in this relationship with this guy for 10, 15 years, 20 years. We don't see that happening very much anymore, not like back in the day. But during that time she's in that, she's not, she would always assume that it's the same way for men. Just like girls who are constantly already have all their choice that don't look back and don't even see that men don't have it like them and think that it's easy for men, okay? That's a crock of shit. They don't see what's going on because they're not paying attention. And for the women that are paying attention and loving being married to the government and wielding their power over men, we do have a lot of women doing that.
I don't think a lot of them see this that men are going through pain, or it's kind of like during the time of like Nazi Germany, a lot of people didn't even realize what was going on or the suffering that was caused by Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, I could agree with that because the one thing I know is, okay, regardless of who you are, you live in one area. You can't live in all areas, okay? It's not possible. So you can only see what's going on in your specific area, okay? You see the corruption everybody else is seeing. But in some areas, I don't think it's as found as it is in other areas.
Different areas, you might fit in better than other areas, believe it or not. Like, not all areas are going to be a good fit for everyone.
Yeah, I can see that being a reality as well, okay? So I don't know. I mean, the best I can do is tell people get an activity. It's what I told Hayden yesterday. Okay, that's about the best I can do for you because I don't want to send you down a rabbit hole. I'm not gonna lie to you. We have to get men and women back together. And I don't think we're going to be able to accomplish it, but we have to try. Okay. And I'm going to give Jana applause for that because Jana stands a chance of reaching other females that the guys won't. Okay. And I'm not going to lump her in the group of all women because when you start lumping females in the group of all women, and then it's actually a woman that's not, okay, that's actually not, then what you're doing is hurting yourself.
Well, you know, not all women are the same. Not all men are the same. We're all different. We all come from different beliefs, different backgrounds.
That's
We
correct.
all come from different cultures.
Yep. And there have been some women who spoke up for men in the past and got attacked furiously by men, which was a good example of last week's show. Okay. All these guys attacking Jana. Okay. But yet they didn't even know her. They've never talked to her once. They knew not the first thing about her. Okay. But what were they doing? They lumped her in the category of all women. Well, I hope you enjoy your life of misery when you do that. Okay? I say you don't lump women in all the category because it's definitely not 100% all women. I mean, that's BS. That's like when they were calling us simps. Okay? To call us all simps, well, I don't care if we were simps just because we talked to a female on a show last week. Well, then, for all of you guys out there calling the name, oh, believe me, you're a simp yourself. Because by your very, very definition of simp, all you'd have to do is talk to a woman at the grocery store, at the line, the cashier checkout line, talk to a woman here, you're a simp. Oh, yep, I'm sorry. That's your definition. You created it. And my definition of a simp is the guy who's covering up for a woman's wrongs, who's not holding a woman accountable for her wrongs. That's a simp.
Look, some women are bitches.
Correct.
I mean, some women are total bitches, and it is what it is.
Yeah, because we all come from different backgrounds. We all were raised in different backgrounds, and some women are just as toxic as all hell. But so are some men.
Well, not only women, but we've all had guy friends that we used to hang with that turned out to be toxic people. I certainly have.
Mm-hmm.
I've been around my share of like real toxic people. I've been around toxic women. You know, I've been through every spectrum of it.
Well, there is in all walks of life. This is exactly true. This is what we're looking at. There's no BS behind that. And I only want to try to help the best I'm able to help. Okay. And so I give Hayden what advice I gave him yesterday. And I hope that he does that, stops isolating himself. And I sure hope that one day he'll meet somebody, okay? But you got to remember, I can't promises on any of this stuff because our society is so toxic. But I'm not going to stop fighting back. I refuse to stop fighting back. But you need to understand, some people were very upset because we had a woman on the show like 3 weeks in a row, okay? Well, the first 2 weeks, the woman we knew clear fully was an agent, was working for the establishment. And I don't think it's an accident that Monday's channel and Annika's videos all disappeared off of YouTube after being on the TFL live stream. I don't think that was no accident, okay? And I'm okay with that because we called an agent out for what she really was, okay? And things, well, one thing led to another, and now they're gone off YouTube probably because the people, the establishment, was a little bit pissed off at them, and they're either regrouping or whatever. That's fine, okay? But Jada, she's not no employee of the establishment. Okay? Jana's real. Jana is not acting like all these other women. Okay? And people say, well, but yeah, but you can't trust her. Well, that's your opinion on somebody you don't even know. You're calling out a woman that you don't even know because you've never talked to once in your life. Okay? Now, Hayden's had a chance to speak with her. Okay? And what do you think about Jana, Hannah, or Hayden?
She's genuine. She's a very sweet lady. She's real. Some people you can just kind of tell that they mean what they say and they say what they mean, and she's one of those people. She's one of the few. Um,
Yeah.
there's not many like her, but she is genuine and she's a very sweet lady. So anybody who thinks negatively towards her or trolls her without knowing anything about her, I would say you'd have to take the time to pay attention to what she's saying as opposed to just talking out of your ass.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And I get mad, well, because you brought a woman on here. You threw TFL under the bus. You did this, you did that. No, I didn't. You don't understand. You really need her. You need women like her that'll speak up. Okay? But she is real. She's genuine. She's real. She's not in here playing games. She really isn't. You know? And I know this. Okay? And so no. The problem is as I said before, people like to make assumptions. And they like to lump everybody into that category that they've created because they're making assumptions.
Yeah. I mean, if you had a bunch of mid-aged women like Jaina mentoring the younger women in, the tens of thousands and millions, we might be able to see some positive change take place in the dating scene for society for all men. But I just don't know how that'll play itself out in the next 5 or 10 years. I don't know if there's enough women out there with the experience and the wisdom that actually care enough to take the time to mentor the younger women. Because if you try to talk to this subject with a younger woman, she won't give a flying fuck. She doesn't give a shit. I mean, and that's just the way it is.
A lot of what you see is based on the media, the TV, what's online, commercialism. These different talk shows. What you see on TV is what promotes all this, shallow superficialness.
Right.
Well, the
A
majority of
lot of
this
it.
is coming exactly from the TV, Mitchell. That is the majority of it. And you have to really think and look hard at that because that is the majority of the brainwashing that's going on. Okay. And unfortunately, it's not doing men or women any favors at all.
No, it's hurt. It's not. Believe it or not, it's not in favor of women. It's not in favor of men. It's all about profit.
Well, it's about profit and it's about an agenda. And when that agenda finally gets its wants, they're going to throw these women right under the bus with the men.
They don't give a flying fuck about these women.
No, they don't. The people at the top that's created this problem actually do not care about these women. They're using them. And that's all they're doing is using them. And you got to try to get that through people's heads because, it's no different than I highly appreciate Jane. I really do. And Jane is a good person. I don't care what anybody tells me. I see it. And no, I'm not in a relationship with her. I had to say that again, because that's these people. Oh, well, then you must be in a relationship with her.
Who was that? Who was that crazy woman that was on YouTube? And I forget her name. She was like really weird, and everyone hated her. She was like the one who was bashing, gay women and all that. She kind of had like long brown hair.
Well, if you want to bash gay women for being joyful and happy, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, because that's what gay means. Gay's real meaning is joyful and happy. So she could be, Jane is proud to be happy. She has no problem with that. Hey, it's just a little reality slap in your face there. because you don't know what the word
Oh,
actually
no, I
really
know what her
means.
name was. Asta Dill, remember her?
Oh yeah, I remember Cassie Dill real well.
Cassie, I mean, that woman was crazy.
Well, Cassie Dill at one time used to speak up for men, and then she got stuck up in the political arena. Okay, and then she went and got herself on Reuters. Okay, with Lou Berdowski. Okay, and she went down in front of the Capitol and proceeded to set up a lemonade stand. And Lou Berdowski said he was going to be there right on TV, and then he wasn't there. And then Cassie and her crew went to jail. Yeah, Lou Berdowski set her up. Yeah, you know, Lou Berdowski, if we are change, yep, he gave Cassie her change, all right. Then suddenly Cassie disappeared off YouTube. And
But like,
that's been some while back that happened.
I had a lady a girl that looked a lot like that back in high school that liked me, and she used to always get on my case about the fact that I used to like to smoke weed, a lot of weed back then. And her one time, she got right into my face in front of all my friends in high school, and says, "If you don't knock off smoking that weed, your dick is gonna shrivel up and fall off." Right in front of everybody.
Wow.
I mean, I love smoking my weed and, shrooms and stuff. Just back around, 11th, 12th grade. There's this girl that looked a lot like Cassie Dill, except one thing. This chick had some nice knock-knocks.
Oh, well, you know how that goes.
But, I remember one time she actually kind of blocked me and had me cornered in front, and it was like right in front of all my friends, and just screamed at me at the top of her lungs about my weed smoking back then, and right in front of everybody, and just says, "If you don't knock that stuff off, your dick is going to shrivel up and fall off."
Well, I think that might happen to some of these guys that want to hurry up and get laid and don't get to take the time to know them. They're going to get laid, all right, and they're going to find themselves at the hospital. What'd you say I got, Doc? There you go. And that's exactly what will happen to them. Well, how'd you get that? Well, I was in a hurry to get laid. It's complete insanity, I can understand, okay? But I also, it comes down to reality. Reality is in your face and it goes against what today's society pushes. Today's society says what's going on is the norm, that it's always been this way. And that's a complete lie. Okay? It's just a complete lie. And the reality is, the fact is, nobody's taking the time to get to know one another. TFLers don't stand a chance of getting to know anybody because they're rejected in 1 5 seconds and pushed off the ladder. Okay? And that's why you got the high number of TFLers. You got many guys that are living TFL denying it, and then if you're not careful and you just fall for any woman you meet and you rush right into a relationship, you might as well take a hammer and hit yourself in the head because you don't
You
know who
don't
you're
know
getting
what
with. Well, go ahead, Mitch.
you never know what you're getting yourself into out there. And that's another reason why we experienced, TFL, because if you're like in a supermarket or a mall or Walmart or any public place, most people, especially women, are going to be more, reserved when it comes to talking to strangers, especially, strange men, especially if you have that hungry look in your eyes.
Oh, well, that's when you go out there with that kind of look, I'd say that's a nut look, okay? And if you're going out there just to get laid, you're not after a meaningful relationship anyhow. And guaranteed to be failure for most men right off the bat. And if you're going to go out there and get into a relationship, the best thing I could take to anybody is you need to take the time to get to know each other. And if you ain't got time to know each other, then you don't belong together anyhow.
Yeah.
If you go out there, I mean, you really you never know what you're getting yourself into out there. I mean, that's the reality. I mean, and by acting on that loneliness, you're basically taking your head and ramming it right into a brick wall as fast as you can run.
Yeah, that's basically what you're doing. Yep. You might just well be, because you cannot just jump into a relationship and expect success. Then you'll be back whining to everybody online how it didn't work out. Well, of course it didn't work out. You jumped into it. And what do you think you're going to get when you jump into a relationship in today's society? Oh, hit over the head a few times with a hammer, abused, abused, more abuse, more abuse, more abuse. Oh, that's right. And remember, guys, it's all your own fault. Okay? Monday told you it's your own fault. If you jump into a relationship and don't know her, it is your fault for jumping into that relationship.
Yeah, that's a great point. Hey, Mitchell, I wanted to get your opinion on a few observations that I've seen over the past couple years. So,
Okay.
living in Dallas, obviously there's a huge Hispanic population, and I tend to see the Hispanics doing very, very well, from the young ones to the old ones. And if I had to wager my bets, the white community has suffered TFL by far the worst than any other race. Now, I know that there's a lot of,
I've noticed that myself.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of middle of the road black men who suffer as well. You know, like guys like Savvy Guy, who's that other guy, Kent, Heat and Succeed, guys like that. But I mean, as far as the lower class blacks, they tend to do very well because I think the economic hardship sort of brings them together in a way. And I mean, whites where I live, from what I'm observing personally, they just have it the worst by far. I see tons of Asian couples my age. I see tons of Hispanics, tons of lower class black couples my age. But one thing I hardly ever see is young couples of white men and white women together my age. It's a big ass pack of white women hanging out together, but I just don't see it. I mean, what do you think?
I've noticed that too, and I've also noticed that, especially African American males, seem to do much better than white males as far as meeting women, including meeting other, Anglo women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I was noticing something in the comment section, and we're talking about cheating, and we're talking about friends with benefits. Well, and I hope you get the benefit of getting something that sends you to the doctor. Maybe you can get something that won't go away and will be with you for the rest of your life. That'll be an awesome benefit you get for yourself, okay? Because you don't know what you're doing, okay? And for the guys out here who think it's about getting even with women, how about focusing your attention on the root cause and getting even with the people who've done this to us? At least
Right.
Well,
that's
I
the way
think
I feel.
for some reason I really think that people go by what the media portrays. People are going to go by what the media portrays, and right now the media is portraying people of color, and it's portraying other things, but it's not really portraying like the straight or heterosexual white male.
Right. I mean, you have such a large percentage of young white women in dating limbo, or they're on SSRIs. I mean, their sex drive is wiped out chemically. They just don't give a rat's ass about trying to meet another white male. And it's not racism by any means. I'm not a racist. I'm just
I don't think it's
simply,
racism.
oh no.
And I think the media in itself, I mean, you want to do good at, as far as promoting a world where there's no racism, there's no
Right.
discrimination. Um, I mean, right now, like I happen to be someone who's on the autistic spectrum, and that kind of made it difficult for me in my life. And I can tell you that the media right now is, portraying, people that are on the spectrum as, being kind of the hero as well.
Yeah, it's a great point.
I mean, they're trying, but the problem is, I think, in the world we live in, things are very poorly planned.
Yeah.
Things are not.
Well,
Things are not planned right.
I put a thing up on my channel tonight, and I put it in bigger letters so people would realize it because it's in their face. Everything's backwards, everything's upside down. Well, that's the reality in the dating scene too. It's backwards and it's upside down. They haven't left nothing out because people, when I tell people they don't know what they're doing, it's not to put them down. It's the fact that your priorities are wrong. You're going out there with the aspect of meeting a woman, okay? You're doing everything you can, but a lot of people's aspect of meeting the woman is based on one thing only, okay? It's no different than a woman running around from riding what they want to call the cock carousel, okay? She don't know what she's doing either. The only thing she knows is she's jumping from one to the other to the other to the other. And look at all the children that ain't got a dad in their life.
Yeah.
Well, it all started, like I was saying before. A lot of this started decades ago, like almost half a century ago. Back in the 1970s, is when it started. Like we had like the Vietnam, we had the hippie movement, due to the Vietnam War, and during the 70s things were kind of loose and kind of decadent, and the idea back then was if it feels good, do it.
Yeah. If it feels good, do it. I wonder if it feels good getting some sexually transmitted disease. Maybe that feels good too, huh?
Mm.
Do it.
Mm.
Oh,
Wow.
I meant to tell you, Bill.
Yes.
My mom, actually ran different feminist organizations, but that's one thing she lectured me about was you got to be careful going out there because of all these different diseases.
Well, that's true. There's a whole lot of women out here that are carrying nice surprises for these men. The cat, that are bitching they can't get some. Well, don't worry. Maybe one of these women that got some of that stuff will go ahead and share that with you, huh?
Well, here's one for you. Now, a lot of these women that are going to carry these diseases are not going to, be like some lot lizard. That's women that hang out at truck stops, or women that you would see underneath the elevated tracks in Philadelphia. Hookers. A lot of them are crack hoes. A lot of them could look like this soccer mom that can carry these diseases.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not going to be able to use looks for what's carrying a sexually transmitted disease, but in some cases you can. You know, most of the what you'd call, I don't like the labeling system, but let's say most of the number 10s are above, right? They're probably going to be with rich married stars and athletes and shit like this. Okay? You drop down a level of your so called labeling system. Well, then once you get down a level, then I'd say you might want to be careful. A lot of women don't even know what they want anymore. The only thing they do know what they want is they want lots of money and they want lots of options that they have, and they're going to get picky, picky, picky. Hey, that's Steve's words, isn't it? Yep. About who they're going to do it with, and then they're not going to be able to figure out why they're constantly being in breakups. The only thing I mean, Help by the Dashboard Light does some really good videos. He has said a lot of really good stuff. And Help by the Dashboard Light, sometime back, mentioned about he wants a woman for a friend. And I always said that, man, at least the man's on the right road. Because
Yeah.
if you're ever going to have any kind of meaningful relationship in your life at all, it's going to be through exactly that. And I know people slammed him for saying that. And they were wrong for slamming him because he was on the right road. The people who slammed him for that are complete idiots as far as I'm concerned.
Well, a lot of that came from the '70s. Like, believe it or not, even during the earlier part of the hippie movement and all that, people still had morals. But a lot of this extreme superficiality actually started like towards the mid '70s, like around the bicentennial year. When you had, like, that's when the disco scene came in. And that's when
Yes.
you were dealing with like that extreme superficiality.
Well, yeah, now I would agree with that because this era was, I mean, you go back to the early 70s, this stuff was going on. You had the sexual revolution back then and all the hippies running around. Okay. All that stuff did stem back then on. Let's see, Il Young is telling TFL men to focus on themselves. I would agree with that because if you focus on women, you're only going to hurt yourself all the more. That's all you're going to do. You're not
You
going to be able,
know
you cannot go out looking for a date and expect not to be hurt.
what has that done? Going out there and looking for women. I got to really think about it myself. All it's done was, it was a waste of energy. It was a waste of resources. It was something that was keeping me from getting ahead myself, as far as I could have gotten ahead better with my art and everything else. I
Yeah.
could have, got ahead, artistically, creatively, if I hadn't been out there that whole time, looking for some tail. Now I'm being honest, okay?
Yes, that's
I
correct,
went out
Mitchell.
there.
I
I went
know
out there
you're
looking for some
giving what,
tail.
yeah, Mitchell's giving you what he has actually seen in his own life. Okay, witnessed with his own eyes and what he's lived. And this is what I'm telling you is from my life experiences, because I sure can't tell you any more. Because the reality is, Mitchell lives in one spot of the United States I don't live. I live in a spot he don't live, and Hayden lives in a spot that I don't live. Okay, and I can guarantee you, all of these spots will have a lot of things in similar, and they'll have a lot of things not in common. At the same time, if you don't get yourself out of your isolation and go out and find an activity to do, you're only doing more damage to yourself. And if you go out there, you should go out there to do the activity you're doing and to make sure it's where men and women are both at. And be yourself. Don't go with the idea of getting a woman or meeting a woman. Because I think if you did that, you'd find out organically by being yourself, you stand a better chance of meeting somebody. Not promising you that you will, because I can never make that promise for nobody. Okay? I can only say I think that's probably the best chance you have. And of course, that's going to take being devoted to it. Okay? Doing that regularly and meeting people. And it's going to take social skills on your end. So if there's anything you want to do, you want to work on your social skills. And I'm not going to say that you're going to meet somebody, but at least you'll stand a chance. And if you don't, you know, at least you're not going home upset. Because if you go out there looking for that, you're going to go home upset. You're going to tear
They're going to
yourself
be
up.
people that go out looking are setting themselves up for a huge disappointment.
Yes. When Young says he struggles from social anxiety, okay, I feel for you on that, and I don't know how to help you on that, okay. But I would have to say that you would have to be able to overturn that, be able to overcome it. And I'm not sure how. If you can overcome that, then I think your chances will at least be a little bit better for yourself. But don't go out there with the intentions of finding, because that's asking to commit suicide anymore.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people that you see with women, have met women from, controlled environments, like through people they know, through a work situation. Um, you're going to you meet them through some kind of controlled environment, through a closed niche.
That's
You're
actually
not,
true, Mitchell.
you can't just go up into a Walmart or a shopping mall and just, try to play some game with some, rap to them. Things don't work that way, especially in the 2020s. I mean, there's so much shit going on out there. People are really scared.
They are. There are. There's so much going on, and I would agree with what you're saying. Go out there, get yourself involved in something just for your own self, so you're not isolating yourself. But it is true. A lot of people that are with people have met them through, like my son's mother. I wasn't looking when I found her, and I met her through my brother. And this is fact. That's how I met her. Okay? So, sometimes you meet them. I mean, Patty, I met actually, believe it or not, on Plenty of Fish. And to this day, Patty and I are still friends. Okay, it didn't work out for us, but we're still friends. I like Patty. She was a good woman. She didn't make drama. Seriously, she's a woman who never made drama. So, yes, there are women out there that don't make drama. You know, my son's mother, for the first 8 years, we didn't really have drama at all. Then she slowly started making changes, and drama slowly came into it until it destroyed us. Between that and the cheating, okay, then there was nothing left, okay? But guess what? Because I actually really fell in love with her, and because we were together for so many years, and that was built, this is what I mean about a true relationship is built. It doesn't happen overnight. People want to say, oh, love at first sight. There's no such thing. That's called lust at first sight, by the way.
And here's the thing about it, what I've learned from my experiences in life is what you might really lust out for and what their personality is like or how you are personality wise, even spiritually, is probably not exactly going to be an aphrodisiac.
Yeah, you got a lot of situations that goes on, and the only thing I can tell people is you got to go slow. You got to take your time. That's exactly what Warren's trying to do. Warren and I have talked a couple of times this week, and this is exactly where Warren's headed. He's trying to take his time. He's trying to get to know the person he's talking to. And I don't know how often they're talking, but I know they're talking. I know that, Warren was all surprised. He says, well, she's the one first brought up sex. I've never talked about sex with her, and she's bringing up sex. Well, you know what? I find this to be a common denominator amongst women because they always want to say, now, I'm not putting this on all women by no means. So don't ever say I did because I'm not. Okay? But I have found that women seem to, in my experiences, this is just in mine, be the first one to bring up sex. But yet society wants to say that's all a man thinks about. Okay, that it's the man doing this. Well, I hate to break the bad news to you. You've been lied to again.
Women get horny too.
Yeah, matter of fact, women like sex every bit as much as men do. And I know
Right.
a lot of guys want to disagree with that. But then at the same time they're disagreeing with it, they're talking about women riding the cock carousel.
Right.
I
Hey,
had
Bill,
this
what do you?
woman I was,
Oh, sorry, Mitchell. Go
I,
ahead.
I had this woman that I was dating in England, and she came over, spent time with me here in the States, and she wanted me to move to England with her. But she was becoming so overly jealous of me. I'd be, out on my hike on the Pennsylvania Canal, and I would get a call from her on Tango, and she would scream at me at the top of her lungs, "Take that other woman off your Facebook now!" Woman trying to destroy our relationship. I mean, she didn't know the woman or anything. Like, there was one woman that would, comment on my artwork or photography, and she didn't know the woman, and then she actually went and copied a photo of her, and then texted me the photo of her, and then called me and said, "Take that woman off your Facebook now. She's trying to destroy our relationship."
Wow.
I mean, she was
Women
like
get
getting.
very judgmental. Women will be, this is something I've noticed, okay? My ex done this. And I've, since that time, I find that a lot of women have done this to the guy they're with. They will compare themselves to another woman, and they will actually put the guy in a bad spot, okay? They will be comparing themselves to another woman in a magazine and trying to get your opinion if she's attractive or not. And if you answer that, well, yeah, she's attractive. Oh, the fight's on. The fight's on.
Yeah, man. That's happened several times in my own life. I know that, I mean, some of these women, they don't know how to make their mind and they don't know how to communicate with you. They'll show you more interest whenever you try to conversate with as many women as possible. But when you actually show that woman that you care about, that you're all about her and you want to build something with her, she dries up and you'll never hear from her again. It makes no fucking sense.
I know.
That's social engineering because she actually don't know what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
And you dared to show her interest in something she's running from. Okay? And she runs from that, and you gotta believe me, when it's all said and done, most of the women who do this, well, it's your fault, even though she left you.
Yeah. You know, you hear all these women who say, "Where did all the loyal men go? Where did all the good men go?" Well, the good men and the loyal men have been here the whole freaking time. If you'd open your eyes, maybe you see that. Maybe you'd be able to form a relationship with them, you know? But
Yeah, good women are out here. I'm telling you, Jane is a good woman. And I don't care what any of you people in this stream say. You've never talked to her once in your life. You don't even know her. Okay, Jane is a good woman. You know, and Jane actually did open a YouTube page. She actually did post her first video. She's living up to her word. And Janie is a good woman. And I don't care what you people say about her at all because you don't know her.
yeah.
You know, I'm going to stand up for her because she deserves to be stood up for. And it's not because I'm simping. It's not because I'm white knighting. Okay? See, the simp is the white knight. And the white knight covers up for the woman's wrongs. She can do anything she wants and not be held accountable. That's the white knight. That's the simp. Because you talk to a woman don't make you a simp. And when a good woman comes along and wants to speak up in your behalf, and you're sitting there throwing her under a bus, well, that's wrong at you. Then you want to complain about the dating scene when you're part of the problem. Because you really are part of the problem. Because you're your own enemy. Whether you know it or not, you're your own enemy. You're holding yourself back.
It's very true. Hey, Bill, what do you think about Blue Skies Media? I guess he's dating a woman now. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, I haven't watched because the guy don't reply to anybody that was supporting him. Okay? He threw the people that support him under the bus. He openly lied and said he was going to come up on the show and sent me his email, never replied back to the email, and never not any of that. He never came on the show. He stood us up. Okay? So I have a little bit of disrespect for him for that, which is to say, I'm happy he's met a woman, but if he's rushing into something, he'll probably get what he deserves. Because okay, it's
Yeah.
fine that he's dating, but that's not everything. That don't mean it's going to work out. Okay, there's no guarantees on anything. You know what? You could date a woman and not work out, and she could be a really good woman and become your friend, right? And now we're not talking about friend zone. Okay, so get off your friend zone crap. I had to say that before they bring it up. Okay, this woman becomes your friend. You dating. It's about getting to know one another to see if you can become friends, and then you date each other after that to see if there's more there. And if there's something there, you're going to get together. If there isn't, you've made a friend. Okay, and you never know. Later on in life, that woman really liked you. Okay, didn't like you, didn't work out to be together, but maybe she's got another friend who's single that she'll wind up hooking you up with. You just, well, they
Yeah.
don't do that no more. Oh yeah, women do that. That still does
That's
happen.
why. Uh, that's why another way to connect with people is through networking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just try to give sound advice to guys, and that's all I can do. It's going to be up them to act on the advice that I'm giving. Okay, but don't take the advice and think that it means you're going to automatically just immediately, because meeting the right person takes a lot of damn work. And then even if you do meet that right person, it's going to take a lot of damn work to make that relationship work out if you get together. It's going to have to be 50-50. If it's fucking all about her, run. Get the hell out of that damn relationship. It's not worth it. And if it's all about him, then the lady should run. See, I'm not playing discrimination here. I'm telling you how it should be. Okay? So you need to recognize the differences so that if that time should ever happen to you, you can understand what you're really doing. The friend zone shouldn't exist. It's complete hogwash. The division amongst men and hating on each other. We shouldn't be competing against each other for a woman. That's insanity because you're competing. And why should men be competing for what's natural? It should be organic.
You made a point, and you can almost believe that there is some kind of social engineering going on out there.
Oh, well, there is. See, the NWO thing that people don't like hearing, and they want to say it's a conspiracy theory, are by people who ain't opening their eyes and looking around them. We had that guy on the show that wanted to tell you, what male bashing? There's never been no male bashing in the media. Okay? Now that's a clown.
Oh, you're talking about Crimson.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
regular clown. This guy's a complete idiot. He's even going to tell you that the political arena didn't have no money in it. The problem started in the 1970s when money came into the political arena. And I was like, really? Really? What planet have you been living on?
Yeah. I mean, I even had some Hispanic coworkers from the job that I'm working at now try to set me up with a Hispanic woman close to my age. She was 26, very pretty woman. The only problem was she didn't speak English and she didn't live in America. She lived in Mexico, so it would have been far fetched. But she
Oh,
worked with us for about 3 or 4 months during the summertime, and I had the opportunity to take her home a couple times during the week and get to know her a little bit. I mean, I couldn't speak any Spanish. I mean, it's hard to connect with somebody who can't speak their language, but still, I mean, that's something that I mean, I've never had that happen with anybody of my own. I've had Hispanic people try to hook me up with Hispanic women before white people ever try to hook me up with a white woman. I mean, it just kind of goes to show you that. I know it's different in other areas. It's probably different in small towns, but at least where I live here in the big city, it just seems like there's a loss of cultural identity within the white community. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It just seems like there's a spiritual curse within our community that won't allow us to connect with our fellow people on a deeper level to form relationships and network like some of these other cultures can.
Right.
I really think a lot of it has to do with economics or culture, and the fact that we're a culture that was all about being mainstream and all that.
Right.
They put too much emphasis on being mainstream.
Well, people pay way too much attention to the mainstream, and they're not awake to know they're being lied to, and they just believe hook, line, and sinker whatever their TV tells them, and then they wonder why they're in the position and shape they're in, because they're believing a pack of lies, and they just believe the lies so much that they just keep right on going. Okay, and it does nothing but destroy them. And that's what it's, and they don't understand social engineering NWO is all real. There's nothing that it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy, yet, yes, because there's more than one person involved in doing this. But it's not a theory. Okay, it's in your face. All you gotta do is open your eyes. I know people get
Something is
upset when I talk about that, but the reality's in your face.
something is definitely happening out there, and not that I'm a big conspiracy theorist, but something is definitely happening, and anyone who can say nothing is happening out there has another thing coming to them.
You're absolutely right.
Yes, and Jane has typed some really good words on there. And I guess the men in these chats should be reading what Jana typed to you. Because what Jana told you was the absolute truth. See, Jane is not your enemy. And you men need to realize she's not your enemy. She's actually on your side. She really is. And you need to accept that she is on your side.
Hey, Bill, how many people do we have in the chat right now?
It keeps going up and down. It's been at 55. Now it's down to 47. And then it'll go back up again. It's going up and down, up and down.
Okay.
It's but as far as like whoever these people are that are orchestrating, control over the populace, it's being done for a lot of different reasons.
It is. Most of it has to do with NWO because they want to control the birth rate. Okay, they literally want to control the birth rate. And because they want to, because they want to control the birth rate. I mean, the Georgia Guidestones, I don't even have to read it all. I only have to look at one statement on the Georgia Guidestones to understand what it is. It comes right into the dating scene. That's the reason I said the core, like the core of an apple or the core of a pear. The core of NWO is the dating arena because they want to reduce the population down to a number, and then they never want that number to ever rise above that number again. Because then how would you ever make it not rise above that number again? You would have to control the births. How would you control the births? By sticking your nose in the middle of men and women. It's that simple to understand. Go ahead.
Creating an artificial division between men and women.
Yes, exactly. To create the division between men and women. To give us problems, to get us fighting. And the one thing that you witness is we're literally at war with ourselves. Men and women are fighting each other and blaming each other. Meanwhile, all the problems that's been created has been created by these people. You want to talk about women having all the power? How do you think they got all the power? Because the people that are responsible for this, because they knew it would piss the men off. They knew that a lot of women would love the power and never give it up. Okay, they knew this already. So therefore, what they've really done is they've set us up. Okay, we've been set up. And you have to realize fighting one another isn't the answer. In the manosphere, the common denominator is we're all going through these problems. And the problems are all very familiar, very similar, ain't they? Yeah. You're all having the same complaints. Well, you need to look at where it came from and how it got here. Because it's the only way you can ever realize that us slamming each other, calling each other names, and fighting one another is exactly what they want. They want us doing that. And we're doing a wonderful job of following their orders, ain't we?
Exactly.
You
So
know,
go ahead, Hayden.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say that I've been brainstorming potential solutions that might work. And one of the things that pops into my head firsthand is that social media has become a playground for these women. They get so much freaking validation through Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. I almost tend to think that if men collectively decided to get rid of their social media accounts and worshiping these women on there, we might be able to see a positive change, because those social media accounts account for 70% of the female validation that they receive easily. And if that was to happen, you could probably see some positive change take place pretty quickly. What do you think?
I think you'd have to go one step further than social media. You would also have to You would also have to put a stop to mainstream media in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Because without stopping them two, I don't think you'd see any significant change.
Yeah.
Because you got channels like Lifetime Network. Lifetime Network is a channel that's dedicated to women. And the majority of all the shows that are played, movies that are played on Lifetime Network, are male bashing. I like to call Lifetime Network male bashing network.
Yeah, that's very true.
See, I stopped watching TV years ago. I don't watch TV. When I watch TV, I
Believe it
do
or
nothing
not,
but become angry.
believe it or not, you would have these problems. You have these problems way before Facebook and Twitter and Instagram ever existed or ever even conceived of existing.
Yeah.
It was going in this direction. It was there before Instagram, Facebook, all this multimedia, uses that we,
It
all these
was,
multimedia.
Mitchell's right. Mitchell's correct. Mitchell and I are pretty much right around the same age. And Mitchell has a past, just like I have a past. And he can tell you, like I can tell you, the first time I noticed TFL was in the 70s. And it wasn't even pronounced then to where it was going, but it was there. TFL was actually happening that far back.
Wow.
And so for people like Hayden, his entire life has been the social engineering. He probably don't even remember a time there wasn't a computer.
Nope.
So there's a big difference there, And I understand that, and I know that Mitchell's pretty much the same age I am. I'm 59 years old. Okay.
I just remember, I remember the 70s. I remember, what the world was actually like before, we had, even computers. Even before we had, DOS computers, it was going in this direction.
Yes. You didn't even have cell phones back then. There was no such thing as a smartphone. You walked around. Nowadays, you look at a bunch of friends that get together, and they get together and they're sitting with their cell phones, texting and scrolling through Facebook. They're not even visiting each other. They all got a phone in their hand, typing away.
Right.
And that's actually a breakdown in communication.
people are not communicating the same way. But TFL existed even before you had your first home computers that were little dot screens that took a big floppy disk or a cassette disc or
Yes.
cassette tape.
You had back then, and then you had the first computers that come out were DOS, and then when they gave you Windows, all right, and then you had to have a modem, and you were hooked to a phone line. You couldn't watch videos on YouTube. Hell, you'd have spent the day downloading 10-minute video. It'd take you hours to download that video just to watch it.
Wow. Yeah, I have no perspective on that.
But what's caused it was more of a very slow, methodical thing. Like if you remember the '70s, Phil, you would in the car and you would hear music from Bread or music from Carole King or just good old classic rock and roll or just kind of like a rock and roll bubblegum type music. And then around '76, disco became like real mainstream, and that's when you were starting to see things become, very superficial and, very judgmental, and people were more judgmental on an extreme superficial, basis.
Oh yes, definitely, definitely. Hey,
So
Hayden and Mitchell, this is to both of you. Can you two carry on for like 2 minutes?
Sure.
Yeah, but I just want to say one thing real quick. '76 was the last groovy summer.
Wow.
1976 was the bicentennial year, and it was kind of groovy. People were kind of happy-go-lucky, kind of free-spirited. But then, right around the fall of that year, summer vacation was over.
Right.
That's when people became more shallow, more superficial, more judgmental on a superficial, materialistic level. That's when you started to see that become, a lot more mainstream.
Wow. Yeah. I had no idea TFL went back as far as the '70s. I mean, I always just looked at it from my own perspective as things getting really bad somewhere in the 2011, 2012 area when social media came to the scene. But
No. It wouldn't matter if we had social media or not. It's not the technologies, it's the people behind it.
right.
Yes, the technology did not connect us. You'll hear people say, "Oh, we got more technology than ever. Look, we're connected all over the world." But in reality, we're not connected at all.
No.
Well, here's the thing. The old saying, guns don't kill people, people kill people.
Yes. I've never seen a gun float down the street, load itself, point itself, and pull its own trigger. So when I hear people say, "We got to get rid of the guns because the guns are killing people," no, it's people killing people. Get rid of the gun or just pull a knife out of the silverware drawer. What are you going to do? Get rid of the
Yeah.
silverware next? The knives? Go ahead. Then we'll just pick up a big old rock or we'll use our car. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. I think the technology, as far as the smartphones and everything, I think it's great if you actually use it as a means to get in touch with somebody, to go and actually spend time with them in person. But it's actually become a means of the connection itself has become the smartphone, and it never goes beyond that.
A lot of times you have to understand a lot of it is also economic as well. You have to also realize because everything is so high cost and people are having money problems and economic problems, it's hard for people, even to get together in the first place because people generally don't go out as much as they used to.
Yeah.
People are not getting together like they used to. I'll give you an example. I worked security for a while at this complex that I grew up in. And when I was there as a kid, when I grew up there, it was different because when I hit like my late teens, early 20s, they had different like social groups to get involved in. They had, different like singles groups you can go to certain days, and you would get together. You would go out for dinners, or they would take you out for a hayride, and you would do different activities. All you have there right now is a bunch of like very old people, playing cards or playing bingo in the clubhouse.
Mm.
Place right on the Delaware River called Salem Harbor.
Yeah.
So, it comes to show you that it's not the same. It's not. It's just not the same world that we lived in decades ago. And
No, it's
believe it or not,
not.
a lot of
There's been so many changes, in TFL. Like I said, and even Mitchell's seen it back in the 70s, and it's done nothing but escalate. And I feel so bad for so many men because they've done such a wonderful job on dividing us. And I want to see that divide stop. I want to see it go away. And I want to see genders get back together again. And I want to see our numbers have been skewed for population. Okay. When it comes to how many women are alive and how many men are alive, the numbers have been completely skewed. And from what I've been seeing, we actually have more men alive on this earth than we do women. And that alone is going to cause TFL. And then when you have women,
absolutely.
yep, and then when you have women marrying the government, here comes some more TFL.
Yeah.
And also to top it off, you also have to remember the reason why there's more men is like the decades before even the baby boomers, even our generation, we had, a series of different wars that occurred.
Yeah.
I mean, we had World War II, then we had, Korea, and then we had that war which we never been involved in, which was Vietnam. And a lot of men were killed in these wars. A lot of men came back all fucked up, or came back real fucked up because of all the trauma they've been through. So there was a time when it was easier, and I would say it was probably easier up until, the late 70s.
Mm. Wow.
Like I said, after you had the bicentennial summer, which was 1976. That was your bicentennial summer. But then, when September came around, summer vacation was over.
Mm-hmm.
Best way to put it. I mean, not everybody is wired to, have rap. Not everyone's, wired to know how to small talk and communicate well with people, and not everyone's wired to, fit into something.
Right.
So basically, once that occurred, it was pretty much vacation's over.
Yeah.
Like I said before that, things were kind of mellow. You driving in the car, you had music from Bread, you had music from, other R&B groups like the Stylistics, Martha and the Vandells, Diana Ross, or you had, groups like, Bread, you had, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. You had, different even classic rock like Led Zeppelin. But after that we had the disco scene, and which kind of had a sense of euphoria about it, but it was also very shallow and very superficial, and very judgmental on an extreme superficial level when that occurred. And
Right. Well, I'm going to say something in the chat first. We got a person in here mimicking Hell by the Dashboard Light. I went to their channel just a second ago, and we know that Hell takes down his stuff. This guy has one sub. Zero
That's a
content with one sub. That's not Hell by the
Nope.
Dashboard. That's a troll.
Yeah, Hell's got like 1,300 or 1,400 subscribers to his channel. So
Yes.
what's Hell's to the Dashboard Lights theory about all this?
Hell by the Dashboard Light says a lot of good stuff, and I haven't caught a lot of his stuff recently. I can watch a lot of his stuff because I got somebody that I know, but I'm not spilling the beans, that's catching his stuff and putting it up for people to see. Okay, because the unfair thing is he's taking down his content right after he does it. So unless you're around to see it at the time, you're gonna miss it. Okay?
yeah,
And they've been recording it and then putting it back up. Okay, and I'm actually happy they're doing that because there's a lot of people that like him that are missing his stuff because of that. Okay, so it gives them a chance to find it. Okay, so with that, I'm for that. Okay, because Hell by the Dashboard has always said a lot of really good stuff. Sometimes he gets out there on anger, okay, and he says stuff that's off the wall. But I really don't care about that because he's his own individual human being, and he's saying what he feels at the moment, okay?
yeah. I mean, Hell by the Dashboard's theory is basically the oofy doofy theory. I think he's the person who coined the term oofy goofy theory. It's basically his premise is that women nowadays, especially the younger women, they don't want an alpha type of guy. They want a weak sort of beta male type of guy who they can control and manipulate. And as long as you're willing to simp to the woman and give her everything she wants and take shit from her and put up with it, that you'll have a better chance at a relationship than a guy who doesn't take shit from a woman and stands up for himself. And
Yes,
he also talks about the Asian cultures and the Hispanic cultures doing better than whites and whatnot. But he actually did a stream last night, and he hasn't changed his message one bit. Sometimes he just elaborates on different points, but his message hasn't changed at all.
it hasn't. And Hoka was not feeling good. Hoka told me this long before the stream. Hoka said he would not be on very long because he is not feeling good.
Mm.
And that's the real truth. And Mr. Hoka was in here tonight. Okay, so you people who are trying to get me and Steve to fight, it ain't gonna work. I'm not gonna fight with him. He's not gonna fight with me. We're already friends. You're not gonna break that up, okay? We've known each other a lot of years. So you won't be breaking that up anytime soon. And if it wasn't for Mr. Hoka, um, Mitchell wouldn't be on the live stream right now. Okay? So if you don't like the live stream and it's boring to you, that X button on the top of your browser, or the backspace, use it.
No, here's what I think about the Dippy guy. I think some of these women want to be with guys that they feel that are, non-threatening as well.
Right. Well, I had a guy tell me, Consular Guy, why would you and Steve fight? I had a guy the other night on my live stream tell me to ban Steve Hoka from my channel. They're actually trying to get me and Steve to fight.
Wow.
Okay, Warren, and I'm going to tell you this now. I've talked to Warren a couple of times this week already. And Warren, right now, he's busy with trying to make this relationship with this female he's met work out, and he's stepping away for right now. He said he'll be back, but right now he's taking a break. Okay? Now, this is his personal decision. Him and I are friends, and we talk quite often, okay? And when we get talking, we can talk for 2, 3 hours easy. So, no, Warren's gone nowhere. He's just stepping away from the live streams for now. He'll be back. Give him time.
Good for him. Hope it works out for him.
Yeah, I do too. I really do. And I would like to see every guy that's TFL be able to eventually meet somebody and not be TFL no more. Okay, I really do. That would be a life dream for me to see that happen because it's so not right. It's so evil. Okay, and I can only give the best advice I can give. I can't make it work for you. You got to take the time to make that happen. And I like Hayden a lot. He's young. I don't wish Hayden a life of TFL, and I hope that Hayden meets somebody. But that's also why I give you the advice I gave you last night.
Right. Yeah.
The last time I was on here, it was kind of weird. There was one guy who kept talking about suiciding, and
Oh.
That would have been Richard. Richard has a lot of he's TFL and he has a lot of stuff, but that's going to hold him down. He's in a group home, okay, so obviously he's probably not able to take care of himself. But I'm not going to get into personal issues. And of course, if you're in a group home in a controlled environment, you're not going to be having a woman
no,
in most cases. So, and matter of fact, females that are in group homes in the United States are being forcibly having their tubes tied against their will. That's no lie. That's
especially
really going on.
especially if they're have mental health issues like whether it's bipolar, depression, or if it's schizophrenia.
Yes. It's really hard. I mean, I feel for you. I feel for the young men because I've seen guys killing themselves over the years I've been doing this, and they're killing themselves because of the life they're living. And I don't wish this life on anybody. And I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm dead serious when I come up here. I don't lie to you. I talk about my life experiences, what I've seen. I lived TFL for 28 years of my life, okay, before I had anybody in my life. And when it happened through my brother, okay? And since then, I've stepped out of TFL and I'm back into it again, okay? But I've never give up on speaking out for men, ever, okay? Because I know what's going on. And Jaina is as real as I am. I can pretty much guarantee you she's as real as I am. And we need a female speaking out on your behalf for TFL. And so
Yes, you do.
you should be thanking Jaina and not slamming her.
Yeah.
I've never heard Jaina.
She was on last week's show. So if you was to go to my channel and go back to episode 18, you'll hear Jaina. If you ever get
Was she the woman that Steve argued with?
No, that was an agent. That was Annika. She was an employee of the establishment, and I do believe they got in trouble for coming onto this live stream. And I do believe that Monday was furious with her, okay? Because how coincidental is it if Monday took his channel down and Annika removed all of her videos right behind being on this live stream? I don't call that a coincidence, okay? I think they got in trouble for being over here because it doesn't matter if they were from Mensa, the high IQ society. They're not able to outwit Steve Holker or myself. They're not going to be able to lie to us or bullshit us. And I think the people that above them that placed them here know this, and they didn't want them over here. Their job is to keep spreading BS and keep us divided, not to tackle their enemy. So I think they actually got in trouble. And I think that's why you've seen them suddenly disappear. But Mitchell,
You know,
Mitchell, I
yeah, right
would
here.
love it if you would get Zoom on your phone and get me in the context list, because then one of these days I could put you in a meeting with me and you and Jana, and you could meet Jana.
Okay.
But and it'll be easier for me to bring you into the live stream because I'm not going to put the ID number out there. And the last time I muted my mic, for whatever reason, my mic didn't mute. It said it was muted, but it wasn't. That's the reason Steve took care of it for me to get you into the stream tonight.
I got the Zoom. I downloaded it, but I'm not sure how to use it.
Okay. Well, one of these days, call me on the phone and I'll guide you through it because it's really easy.
Okay.
Once you see how to use it, you'll never forget. It's really easy to do, and then you won't need an ID number at all. Okay. So I'll help you, Mitchell, so that you can do that.
Okay, and I'll give you a call like probably sometime tomorrow or Monday.
Yeah, that's fine. I know that's a little off topic on the show, but I like Mitchell. I always have, and I enjoy having Mitchell on the show.
And I
But
want to thank you, Bill.
yeah,
No, it's been rough on a lot of us for a lot of different reasons, as far as like TFL alienation and all that. There's a lot of reasons why any one of us would be experiencing this. It's not just one reason. There's a million and one reasons.
well, there's a whole combination of reasons, and when you connect the dots, looking up what's really going on in society, it all comes together. It really does. It's like drawing a picture, and it all comes together, and I see it so clearly, and I know where TFL come from. I know why we're having all these problems. That's the only reason I keep telling you the same thing, because your real enemy isn't each other. Your real enemy is
Believe
at
it
the
or not,
top. Go ahead.
believe it or not, a lot of your gangbangers, a lot of your hardcore drug dealers, a lot of your druggies, gangbangers, a lot of your random violent crime that's going on out there is the result of TFL.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great point.
I mean, like people that are, your gangbangers that are, holding up like a liquor store or a convenience store. If they were, with someone that they were really in love with, they would have no reason to ever think about doing something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Nuclear Redfield says he's 6'3" and invisible to women. I believe that. I really do.
Yeah. Man, I
I
never
mean,
even thought about it that way.
but if we did not have TFL, you'd have a lot less crime out there.
Well, I think we would have a lot less crime and men wouldn't be so angry at each other. Okay? Because it's very unnatural for men to be competing for a woman. Okay? That's not even natural.
Basically, what I think the powers that be want is they want, men to be fighting. If you put two male, gerbils together, they're going to fight to the death.
Yeah.
That's what
Unfortunately,
they want.
unfortunately, when you put men in a situation where they have to compete against each other for the validation of a female or even have a female in their life, you're seeing the results. We're all attacking each other and it's been deliberately done. What we have to do is stop attacking each other and look at your real enemy who's done this to all of us and go after your real enemy, not each other.
And you're right. It's not even a conspiracy because It's actually being done right in our face, but people don't see it.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. Mitchell's correct on this, and I love it when I have other guys come on here to see it and say the message and give their opinion, like Mitchell, because people need to hear from more than just me. Okay, really do. And I want them to hear from other people. When I do invite people on my show, if you're willing to speak out, I just had to be a little bit more strict on the rules because I don't want trolls in here. Just like we had a troll in the chat tonight pretending to be held by the dashboard. And I'm not going to say we didn't have the real hell by the dashboard in here, but I'm going to tell you we definitely had a troll in here pretending to be hell. Okay, and of course I do what I always do. I banned them. Okay, I banned people who are against what this is a real topic. And if you're going to come in here preaching the agenda of NWO and keep the problems alive, I'm going to remove you. And I don't want to have to remove you. I just want you to be real. That's all I'm asking you to do is be real. And I don't think that's too hard for you to do. We're all living these same kind of problems, man. We shouldn't be slamming each other.
And
I
you know what else?
support you. Go ahead.
Even if I met the one in my dreams tomorrow, hypothetically, all I can tell you is I guarantee you there'll be something out there that would try to break you apart.
Well, that's it.
Like,
A lot of people, Mitchell, that come in here that I banned, they're doing nothing but causing confusion and creating infighting because they're not being real. SPO, I gave that guy lots of chances, but he literally was telling us to stop talking about this and it'll go away. It's not going away because you stop talking about it.
Actually, I want to tell you something, quite frankly. The society we live in, even Winston Wu brought this up, you're not allowed to talk about things of a social issue, a social nature
right
in our culture.
Well,
if you talk about,
you're right. You're not allowed to, but I got a person saying they're trying to say that, well, it's their First Amendment right. No, you have your First Amendment right. You can go over to your channel and you can whine and do a video and say anything you want. I didn't take your First Amendment away from you by banning you from my channel. That's complete nonsense. If I banned you, it's because you're not being real about this topic. It's because you're actually against us and hating on us. That's the reason you're being banned, but nobody took your right to freedom of speech away from you.
No. Basically, you can ban anyone you want that you don't feel appropriate for that channel.
Yes, exactly. And I'm not trying to purposely ban people, but I'm not going to put up with people coming in here and try to create infighting, try to get me and Steve Hoka to fight, or try to get me and Hayden Rose to fight. No, it's not going to happen. You come in here with them kind of intentions, you're going to be gone. Then you can go join the Winers Club over on Espio's channel, where he's making a whole series of videos complaining about they were banned.
Well, but as far as the women, as far as like being in love and being connected, if we were all like happy-go-lucky, free-spirited people that were interconnected with the people that we love very deeply, it would also affect the fact that we'd be consuming less.
Yes, this is true. Not only that, we would be a stronger society. If men and women come together again, we get strength from that, whether people realize it or not.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I can attest from personal experience that when you get around a woman who you really connect with and you share a good time with each other on a non-sexual basis, it really amplifies your spirit. It amplifies your physical energy levels, and you feel like you can be a lot happier and consume much less. I mean, you eat less, everything just seems better. But
exactly. And so a lot of it is economic, if you want my opinion. I mean, granted, there could be the fact that they want to reduce the population, but you would have to also reduce the population in, extreme third world countries. That's where a lot of your population is actually growing. It's not growing, in places like the United States or Western Europe. It's growing in nations that are third world.
Yeah. Well, you realize it or not, their goal is to bring the United States down and turn it into a third world nation. And it's
That I can
happening
see
right in your
happening.
face. That is their actual goal. Your new superpower is China. US is over with. The new superpower is China.
Mm. Bill, I actually had a thought about that. I was thinking, there's all this talk in the political scene about, they're going to block off the borders in South Texas to where people from Mexico can't get in, and all this illegal immigrant issues going on in the media. But I tend to wonder sometimes. I mean, if they were to follow through with that, you know, enforcement of blocking off the borders completely to where those people that are in Mexico can't come to the United States. I tend to think if that did actually happen, what if it's actually the reverse? What if the powers that be were to do a complete 180 and, all the cartels and the drugs ended up here in America and they were blocking us in from getting out once this
Well,
place turns into a shithole? What do you think?
this is what's really happening. George Soros, who's working for the elitists, okay, helps to stabilize countries. This is how he's made us rich. This is what made him rich to begin with. He goes in and destabilizes countries by setting up and bringing people across the border. The wall that Trump's talked about is just a show. It's never going to happen. You're not going to see a wall go up.
Yeah,
Okay? They're going to want to open the borders and let more and more in here. Okay, as
yeah,
they let more in, you're going to see TFL even grow bigger because you're going to have more immigrants chasing after your women.
yeah. And it's primarily male immigrants. It's not females.
Yes. So you're going to wind up with more immigrants chasing after your women, taking your jobs, and destabilizing your country. And this is what this guy does for a living. That's how he got rich.
Mm.
And
Well, look what
people
happened
just
in Europe.
say what again, Mitchell?
Look what happened in Western Europe. They brought all these Arabic immigrants in to countries like Germany, England, and Sweden, Norway, and all these northwestern European countries, and it just caused complete mayhem. You actually had all these Arab immigrants raping white women right off the streets.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, but if this keeps going, Mitchell, the day is going to come where men will actually attack other men and take them guys out just because they have a woman.
Yeah, that's a scary thought.
Okay, and I don't like the thought of that. This is why I try to tell people in the manosphere we have to band together. You have to recognize who your real enemy is. We men here in the manosphere, we're not each other's enemy. We're competing against each other because these sick idiots at the top have designed it this way so that we're competing against each other. And we shouldn't be competing against each other. We should be going after the people responsible for reducing the population, okay, and for creating the problems we're having that has divided us all. They want us all at war with each other. And that's exactly what's really going on. We're at war with each other. And we have to realize that we got to end the war against each other. We have to fight our real enemy.
Yeah. I mean, these incels who fantasize about the collapse of a society and they think that, everything's going to collapse and all the women are going to come running back and crying to the guys I mean, they don't really want that.
No,
I
I
don't
don't
think
say
people really realize how bad that would be if
no.
society collapsed.
They don't realize that society is going to collapse one day because it's by design. And they don't already realize that it is by design that they're going to collapse us. But the sex robots that everybody keeps talking about, the sex mates over in MGTOW,
Hmm.
okay, you'll never see them. It'll never happen. And why will you never see them on the market? Never happen? Because it's a psyop. It's to give you false hope.
Yeah. And I don't think it would be good for it to happen anyway, because, I mean, let's think about it. If you have a point in time in the future where plastic dolls, these fucking whatever the hell you call them, whatever the hell they're made out of, you've got these fucking sex bots replacing the intimacy of a real woman with a real connection. How fucking sick of a society are you living in if people are okay with that?
Well, yeah, that's it. You know what that is? That's called being desperate.
Hmm.
And the reason they're desperate is because don't matter how hard they try, they can't find a woman. So then they get desperate. And then they'll go to all extremes. And they made these sex bots that people have been looking at look like, from the videos they posted, like they're looking just like a real human being. And they're going to have artificial intelligence in them. And they're going to be able to socially with you and talk to you like a real woman.
Oh, bullshit.
This is the shit they're selling on you. And you people are just falling for it. Hook, line, and sinker like a fish on a line. And I'm telling you right now, it's fake, it's fraudulent, it's a psyop. It ain't never going to happen. But what will happen is the country will collapse. Because we're at war with each other instead of going after our real enemy. Well, what do you think the outcome of us all fighting against each other is going to be? It's going to be a collapse.
Yeah.
Yes, Warren did embrace the sex dolls. And I've already talked to Warren and told him it ain't going to never happen, man. But now Warren's actually met a real woman. And I'm happy for him. And
So am I.
and I really am. I'm happy for him. And I hope that he took his time and he takes his time to know her really well. I've told him to go slow and actually take his time to get to know her. I've done nothing but support Warren. I like Warren. We're friends, and I'm going to always support him. And I hope this works out for him. Just like I hope that Hayden one day you meet a woman and it works out for you. I'd love to see that for all of us, including Mitchell. It doesn't matter what his age is, I'd still love to see him have it happen.
Right on. Yeah.
But I just wanted to say something before I end. You're right. I mean, there are factors that are trying to divide us, and also, as far as the sex bots, if they were able to build something that was more like a human being, like an android, they'd be used for other things rather than, fulfilling guys' needs.
Oh, you got that right. Oh man, you're so spot on there, Mitchell. That's
I mean, they'd
exactly
be
what had happened.
it could be used as soldiers. The ones, I mean, why make females for men? Because that wouldn't be viable as far as control and power. I mean, it would make kind of like unisex ones that would fight wars
Yeah.
that could use
Mhm.
weapons. It was like an artificial intelligence.
Well,
It
I
just
know.
would not.
Speaking of artificial intelligence, Mitchell, I know a guy, okay, from Germany, who knows a couple people that are actually up in a high position in colleges, major colleges, working on this stuff, and their own words because they studied this stuff, and even on the sex bots, artificial intelligence is dumb as hell. It's not even as smart as what you're being reported in the media. The media has hyped up a lie, and these guys said artificial intelligence to be what the media is reporting is years away yet. They're nowhere near that yet.
Mm.
And this is
Something
coming
like
from
that.
people in positions working on artificial intelligence who have made this statement. So this is what kind of psyop you have going on. This is why I told you you cannot trust the media. Remember, YouTube is controlled by military industrial complex and the CIA and Hollywood are all in bed together with Google. All of this stuff's being brought to fool the hell out of people. And it's done a wonder on people because they're actually believing in it.
One thing I do know is something like that robot, like in Japan. I mean, something like that would probably be like decades away from that kind of technology.
Yes, that's correct.
And
You're
not only that, but you would actually have to have a whole different kind of technology to produce something like that. You would have to have what's known as like a wet technology, like almost being able to create a synthetic, skin.
exactly. You would have to be able to
Mhm.
create all that, and you can imagine this right now. First off, artificial intelligence is years away from being what the remote media has reported to you. And it's nothing but a mind game, okay, to give false hope. And they're laughing at you while they're doing it. And to have that kind of technology, even though it's years off, I still find it creepy as hell. Okay, I really do. And and if it was to ever come out, it would probably be out of your price range to ever be able to afford to get it anyhow.
Right.
Something like that would probably be worth probably over $1 million.
Hmm.
Yeah, it would be well high priced. It would be out of reach of the majority of everybody. Okay, but believe me, it's years away. What you've been watching on YouTube and falling for is what you call a psyop. You've been being lied to again. And I just wish people could see through this stuff because they're going to have their hopes up for what? You
Well,
know,
something like that, you would actually have to have, in order for something like that to function, properly, it would have to be almost like a nano type technology.
I would agree with that. And I think that it would be used more like what you just said for. It would be used to please the streets and kill people. It would be used for evil. It wouldn't be used for what you're having false hopes on.
No. And, something like that, it wouldn't really have a sex. It would just be kind of like a robotic creature that would just be used for the government for military reasons,
Oh, yes, exactly.
for military
Exactly.
and corporate reasons.
It would be. That's exactly what it'd be used for. It
Mm.
would be used for government. It could be used for military. It would be used for maybe pleasing your streets and less law enforcement. But it wouldn't be used for no good. I mean, only no good is all it'd be used for. It wouldn't be used for good.
Now there were movies where they actually had robots that ever heard of the movie called The Stepford Wives?
Yes.
That was a movie from the 70s. And
Yep.
then there was like Westworld and Future World.
Yeah, I remember
Um,
seeing that. And then you had that other one with iBot or whatever you want to call it, where the
yes.
communities were filled and everybody had a robot. Okay. These are things that are like many, many, many decades away. Not that they won't come up with it, but it's still many decades away.
I mean, you're probably talking at least like sometime between like the 2050s, 2060s.
Yes.
Because you're also like dealing with a whole different technology, because you would have to be dealing with a technology that would also have to simulate, red blood cells. You would have to have, technology that would be able to simulate, different muscular structure and bone structure in order for it to be more like a human.
Yeah. I seen one MiG toter on here. I think he's out of the United Kingdom. He was trying to preach that, okay, these sex bots are going to have artificial wombs and they'll be able to get pregnant.
Jesus.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, right. And I seen this person talking about turd flinging monkey. Turd flinging monkey's military intelligence. All she's doing is pulling a psyop on you. Okay? This is why he would choose a robot over real women. This is why he's telling you that. Because it's nothing but a psyop. He's military intelligence and he was planted here. Okay? That's who turd flinging monkey is. If you want to know the real name he's telling you, man flinging turds. Propaganda. Okay? It's a man flinging propaganda, lies at you. He put it in your face. He delivers the message that they want delivered. He's not
Yeah.
somebody who can be trusted.
There was two movies. There was two series. One was Battlestar Galactica, not the old series, but the newer series that was from 2004 to 2009. You had that kind of technology with the Cylons, where they had Cylons that were totally humanoid, but they were also what you consider synthetically organic. That would be the only way something like that can actually function. That kind of device function.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Where it would have to be human in a sense, but a synthetic human.
Yeah, and that would still be years off even within itself. To me, it's like the best thing that could happen would be for men and women to come back together again, to stand up against these creeps that have done this to us, and to stop the population reduction, and to start promoting families again where you're having children, so you can bring the numbers back up so you have an even amount of genders, okay, and all the BS to be stopped. And it's not going to stop unless people start coming together.
That would be good, but I think people are so caught up in their own little worlds, their own little agendas, and everything else.
Yeah, I agree with you. They're so caught up in believing in the lies and their division and their infighting and all the BS that all they're doing is really going along with their own demise and they don't even know they are.
I had a friend that was very toxic, quote unquote friend, and he was like, he would come off real nice to your face, but he would actually go and try to turn other people against you.
Yes.
He was a guy, believe it or not, that I was adamantly told as a kid that I was not even allowed to hang with. But he would do that. Like, let's say you and I were hanging out, he would actually try to turn you against me or me against you.
Yep.
So if the average everyday person that's not wrapped too tight can do that, leave alone what the powers that be could be, especially with big corporate interest and all that.
Yep. Well, the people that are up here online in the dating scene that are poised in the establishment, their job is to keep us right where we're at, divided. Okay, so all the message will always be it's always the man's fault. The message will be, oh, when the sex bots get here, okay, the message is always going to be this type of propaganda to keep us fighting.
Let's just say something like that, like something like quote unquote these sex bots. That's not even going to be in your grandchildren's lifetime.
Yes. It's not even, I mean, that's why I tell people it's completely unnatural. What's going on is completely unnatural.
It's synthetic.
Yes.
It's what's called artificially socially structured.
Yep, and then promoted and put in your face. And it's going to be artificial as hell. and I don't want anything like that myself. And I think most real men would never want that, you know, and women alike wouldn't want that neither. Okay.
No. And the thing about that sex bot, I actually heard that one that you saw on YouTube that was Asian. That was
Right.
actually a hoax. That was someone's art project.
Yeah.
I mean, in order to have that, you would have to simulate, body heat. You would have to simulate the softness of the body, and you would have to have it, where it has, an internal bone structure and organs that are, similar to a human being that and can move around.
You would. I mean, it's not going to be, you're going to make some mechanical device, okay, that's going to walk down the street and talk to you and everything, and you're going to be able to actually have a relationship with it. You might as well
No,
have a relationship with a tree.
at least the tree's organic.
Exactly.
But something like that, in order for that to exist, and like something like what you saw with an Asian like robot, that would be something that would be hard plastic. There would be no way that could work. You would actually have to have something that could feel exactly like a live human being.
Yeah, what good is it if it's not another human being anyhow? Because what
No,
kind of companionship are you going to have with it, really?
but something that you would have a companionship with, hypothetically, if it was something that was, a wet technology, which means it has, warm blood, it has soft tissue, and something like that would be probably at least a century away. That kind of technology.
Oh,
Hmm.
easily, easily.
Jesus. No, I don't even want to think about that.
I mean,
Oh no.
you're talking technology like, let's say, like the Terminator or Battlestar Galactica, or Blade Runner.
Yeah.
You're talking a whole different technology than something that's just mechanical.
Yeah. Well, even this 5G internet service that they have implementing into society right now. I read an article today that said that 5G internet will expose people to 28 million or 28 billion times the radiation than the 4G and all the services below that. I don't know if that's true or not, but the thought
That
of it alone
actually
is
is
just
true.
scary. Is it?
Yes,
Holy
that
shit.
actually is true. The 5G is a military grade weapon.
Holy shit. Fuck that.
Okay. And people don't realize this stuff is military grade weapon that they're using against us. And we sit back and just accept it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you can't even get your own family members to acknowledge things like chemtrails and vaccines, they'll never be able to comprehend these deeper things.
Yeah.
Well, actually, for the powers that be, you want the truth? We're basically seeing like a bunch of pigeons crapping all over their statues.
Mm.
Basically, yeah. It's just it's sad that we've gotten to the state of mind that where we're at. And I don't know what to tell people other than you really need to get your head put on right and understand that there's so many lies being told to everybody, and a real relationship is between a man and a real woman. The majority of all everything that was said with biology in your school system was propaganda. Well, but the scientists, oh, you mean the people that's been paid off? Okay, if there was as many differences as been reported through biology and mainstream media between men and women, you wouldn't be getting a woman pregnant. You got to remember,
Yeah,
men and women alike are human beings. Okay, she didn't have some lower class human being because he's a man. That's a bunch of BS.
A
Yeah.
lot of what females like, and what's considered cool, hip, and attractive is what's actually being pumped in through the media. They're the ones that dictate at the time of what's attractive, what's not attractive.
They have for decades now. They've been putting in people's face what's attractive and what's unattractive. It's all you grew up seeing between the cheerleaders, the modeling industry, you know, the fashion industry. All of these things are linked together, and people don't realize their attractions has been put in their heads from the time they were a child. So when their puberty kicks in and they start looking, they're going to be looking at what's already perceived, that's already been put into their head their whole life.
Yeah. I mean, watching. I mean, I'm so glad that I fucking got rid of cable service because I mean, all the brainwashing just drives you insane, and you're gonna piss away $60 a month on top of that for something you don't even use anyways.
Well, yeah,
Jesus.
and something that's going to, if you watch enough, you're going to see all the male bashing. It's going to start affecting you.
Yeah.
Okay. The lies that you're going to be told on a regular basis every day, it's not even worth it having a damn TV set.
No. And even some of these big industries like the NFL and the NBA, I mean, they prop a lot of these players up like Tom Brady, LeBron James. I mean, I swear, the way you hear these commentators talk about these guys, you would swear they were gods. And they lift these guys up, and it becomes a form of idol worship to the people who are sports fans.
It does. And then what it does is it pits them against each other because the sports fans goes to an arena. They watch both teams compete against each other. You have fans from both sides, and when one side's team's losing, they get pissed off. And if you were on the opposite side, the winning side, you're happy. But the ones that are pissed off, if you're wearing the jersey, I mean, this has already happened in real life. You get attacked by a couple fans because their team's losing and yours winning. And this actually happened to a school teacher. He was standing in a line at a concession stand to get some food and drinks. And the two guys behind him, he had a jersey on for his team. And the two guys in line behind him were fans of the opposite team that was
Oh,
losing. And they got fucking irate and they attacked him, beat
Jesus.
the crap out of him, broke some ribs, sent him to the hospital, and went to jail.
Mm.
So there's your entertainment. Your entertainment was division. And what they did with the sports is they took the competition, the competitive nature they had in sports, transferred it into the workplace, transferred it into the dating arena, everything. And so here we are competing against each other, getting mad at each other, just exactly what they wanted. Sports was not given to you for entertainment. It was given to you for what I just said.
And
Right.
even the people that your newscasters, um, let's say your newscasters, your talk show hosts, all these people, they're dictated what to do, what not to do.
Yeah, they are.
They're dictated by something higher up.
The higher up, the president doesn't run your country. The president's following his orders from his bosses.
Right.
You got to get out of the illusion, the mirage, and you got to wake up to really realize what's going on. And then you have to pay attention closely instead of calling it nuts. Because if you would just listen, pay attention to what's really going on in society, you would actually start seeing it. And once you start seeing it, only then can you recognize what's going on. You know, that's the reason I always tell the manosphere, man, we got to stop fighting each other. We got to stop slamming each other. And when Jana come up here, she's real. She means well, she's real, and she wants to help fight the same fight you're fighting. So for you to throw her under a bus just because she's a female, you're only keeping the elite's dream coming true. You're not doing yourself any justice or any favors. You need a woman who's willing to speak out to other women. And if other women are willing, could see it come along and start wanting to speak out in your behalf, you need to stop attacking them. Let them do it, because they'll bring other women to the table with them. Because it's literally not every woman in the world. That's complete insanity. To say that every woman in the world, you're nuts. It's not every woman in the world.
It's some women in the world.
Yes, exactly. Okay, well, people can think what they want. I actually sought both sides. But you got some people that ignore, okay, they play selective hearing. They want to hear only what they want to hear, and then they want to attack you on their manipulation and lies. See, these are the people that I'll remove from my chat. These are the people that get banned. And they got banned because of their own mouth. Okay, that's how that normally works.
A lot. Believe it or not, a lot of women, unfortunately, have had bad experiences, and that kind of turned them away from men.
Well, they do. I mean, you got a lot of bad men out there that are abusing women and doing unto the women the very abuse that women are doing unto men. It's not one sided. It never has been.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll give an example. I remember watching some of the old Twilight Zone episodes. You would have like this, real bitchy woman abusing like, some kind of Woody Allen type guy.
Yeah.
Especially love watching the Twilight Zone. So, believe it or not, there's abuse at both ends. And, this one woman that I used to date, she was even telling me that it goes both ways because there's been, women that have been abusive to men.
Yeah. There are women abusive to men. That's been going on. This is why I so get pissed off at the Violence Against Women's Act. Because the Violence Against Women Act has literally wrote into the law that a man cannot be a victim of domestic abuse by a woman. And then there's women out here abusing the man. And then the man can't say anything because all the other guys will cut him down and mock him and making fun of him. Okay. And say, and then his life will be destroyed by other men because, oh, a woman abused you. How could you let a woman abuse you? You must be a wimp. You must be blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Actually, we live in a weird society where we've also put a lot of emphasis on if you're a guy, you're supposed to be macho. And if you're a woman, you're supposed to be soft and feminine. That's part of our society as well. In reality, things are not that way.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Consular guy says also, Bill, do you think that more guys dating, what is that? Trannies and bisexuals? Okay. Is engineering? Yeah, it is.
Mm.
That is social engineering. That's why you have the big rouge about everything's they're propping up the transgender and gay community, because to prop up the transgender and gay community goes right along with NWO. That causes population reduction because there ain't no tranny that's going to get pregnant and give birth to a baby. There's no gay
No,
guy that's going to give birth to a baby.
neither is a gay guy going to go out, today, and someone who's gay is gay, and it's not like they're going to go out and impregnate women.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
That's the real reason they're propping up these movements that you're seeing and pushing through the media. I was talking with Kevin tonight, and he's telling me over in Canada that if a guy becomes a tranny or whatever and says that he's a woman and this is his name, and you call him what he really is, a guy, you could actually go to jail for that and lose your job.
Mm.
So see, there's
But
your
no, I
agenda
totally,
right in your face.
but no, that's what they're trying to do. The end game is to slowly reduce the population.
They are, because it's about reducing the population. Okay, so they're going
But
to
it's but
prop up the transgenders and the gays because they want that.
But here's another thing they're thinking about. Like, just, it's not something that is going to be like within the next, 1 or 2 decades. They're thinking, let's say, on a 50-year plan, a 100-year plan.
Well, look at it
year.
this way, Mitchell. The elite have Agenda 21. Well, Agenda 21 they can't get off the ground, so now it's Agenda 30. Okay? And I don't think they'll get it off the ground by Agenda 30 neither. Okay? But the real difference comes from us. Because the more people that are awake to what's going on to speak against it, the harder it is for them to bring it in. Trump is NWO. The consular guy right there is correct. Trump's nothing more than a puppet going along with NWO just like Obama. It's all NWO related. Just like the Davies thing is. Go ahead, Mitch.
You just had like the most liberated, most open-minded person in office that was for everybody. They still can't. It's still going to be the same, no matter who we have in.
Well, of course it is.
The system imperative.
It is. They're going to think they got a new face. Look at Obama. He's going to give you change, guys. He's going to give you change. His change was to carry on the same thing that Bush was carrying on. What kind of change was that? Okay, now you got Trump in here. He's going to give you freaking the wall. He's going to do this. No, he's not. He's going to follow his orders like the rest of them did and carry on the agenda.
Basically, he's telling the public one thing, but he has orders to do other things.
Well, this is what you see from election of president to president to president. They come up here and lie to the public and tell you they're going to do all this stuff, and then they come into office and carry on the agenda of the elite.
Mm.
And people ain't paying attention. And I can go back to Kennedy. He was the last president that actually tried to make a change for the people, and that's what got him killed.
Wow. They're propping up that Andrew Yang guy, that Democratic guy who's running because of his plan for universal basic income. Everybody's going to receive $1,000 a month, and everybody's falling into that.
Well, you know what? This is part of NWO. They actually want to take a lot of the jobs of anymore. If you pay attention in the manufacturing, let's go to a CNC shop for once. Okay? If you go into a CNC shop, what you got is you got robotic machines who actually take the steel, cut out the part, change their own tool bits. Literally, it's robotics.
Yeah.
And if you get into plastic molding, there's some even machines in there that are robotics. Okay? So you're talking about robotics. Kodak, several years back, let go a whole bunch of employees because they didn't need them no more because of robotics. People ain't paying attention. The NWO at the end, we're only going to have a few people employed. Most of the stuff will be done by robots. And there'll be a universal payment given out to everybody.
Wow.
That's part of NWO. So when Mitchell was talking about the $1,000 a month universal across the board, that's no lie. This is part of NWO.
Yeah. I mean, Andrew Yang, he promoted it as people would be receiving $1,000 a month income on top of the income that they make from their job. But I never thought about it from the sense that a lot of people are going to end up unemployed anyway, which they're going to end up being broker. if you think about it.
Well, this is exactly it. Most of the jobs will be gone, okay? And they will only need one or two employees to go in and maintain the robots, the botics that are going on. So you're gonna have a
Yeah.
lot of jobs out the door, just like Kodak did. They're gonna be gone,
Wow.
okay? So you got to really read your reality here. You're not gonna have a lot of jobs left for people, okay? And this is being deliberately done. It's by no accident.
Wow. Well, that's a great point. You mentioned the CNC thing because I actually worked for a steel manufacturing facility during the summer times in high school with some buddies, and they had a ton of CNC work going on in there. But it never crossed my mind at the time that a lot of those guys are going to end up
Right.
jobless in the future.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm going to answer Consular Guy's question about Oswald. Harvey Oswald did not shoot John F. Kennedy. He was a patsy. He was set up. He was CIA. And they set him up as the fall guy. Okay? And the Oklahoma the Oklahoma bombing with Timothy McVeigh. Timothy McVeigh did not, nope, that was a lie. He was the patsy, just like Oswald was. And if you want to know about Oswald, Oswald was not only set up and then shot, but the person behind, not the person who pulled the trigger, the person behind Kennedy's shooting, I can guarantee you, y'all know him. His name was George Herbert Walker Bush.
Mm.
He was the head of the CIA at that time. Okay, the reason Kennedy was shot was because he was going to take the monetary system back away from the people who own it here in the United States, the Rothschilds, and he was going to shut down secret societies like Skull and Bones and the CIA. So the CIA set him up to kill him. The CIA is responsible for killing him. And who was the head of the CIA? George Herbert Walker Bush. You'll actually
Wow.
see him if you go back at the footage standing on the street when the shooting took place. Then later, he got awarded by the elite and he became your president.
You know, Bill, I actually heard, the conspiracy that there were two men on the Titanic the night that it sank who were fighting the establishment to try to take the banksters down. And that's the reason why they sunk it. I don't know how true that is, but it
Yes.
just kind of made me think about it.
Yeah, well, like this person says here, JFK admired Hitler. Well, I'm sure he did. When he came into office, he was corrupt. But the guy still had a conscience as when he seen through what the elite was really wanting to do, he didn't agree with it. He was sitting in a position where he could have actually taken the power back. If he had taken the monetary system away from the bankers and gave it back to the people like he was planning, it would have really messed them over. If he shut down
Mm-hmm.
Skull and Bones and the CIA, oh, they couldn't have that. And he was actually drawing up the paperwork to do it. He has a famous speech where he said just exactly that. And he was serious. This is what he was going to do. That's what got him shot.
Wow. And
I
I even
gotta
heard.
charge
Oh,
my phone up, so I want to wish you all a good night, and I'll you'll walk me through the that app.
Okay, guy. Well, you charge your phone up and you got Zoom on there. Give me a call in a day or two. I'll help you get it set up so you can use it. Okay.
Okay, I already have it on there, but I just don't have it set up.
Okay. Well, I'll help you get it set up and guide you through how to get myself in your contacts list and how to use it to the best I can so that you'll be able to use it. Okay.
Okay, listen, have a good night and have a good rest of your weekend, y'all.
Oh, you too, Mitchell. You have a
take
good
care,
one.
And
Mitchell.
thanks. Take care. Bye.
Yep. And for Hayden Rose there, I really appreciate. I understand you don't know a lot of the stuff I'm talking about. It was long before your time. Okay. But I've been doing what I've been doing for a lot of years, and I've done a lot of research and a lot of using my head, and it's sort of right in people's faces. But I'm probably going to cut the live stream tonight, probably about an hour early or so.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
guys,
fine.
because it's only Hayden and I in here, and hopefully next week we'll have some more people in here. Steve didn't feel good tonight, and so I don't blame him for cutting out of here because he actually didn't feel good, and you could hear it in his voice. And I remember going through this a week or two ago myself, so I'm going to go from there. And hey, guys, I'll be back next Saturday. I might come up in the middle of the week sometime with another live stream, but I'll definitely be here Saturday. And with that being said, I'm getting on out of here. And you all have a good one. And thank you, Hayden, for being here. And we'll
Thank
all
you.
chat later, okay? And be if don't
Absolutely.
feel you can call me anytime, okay? So give me
Yes,
a call
sir.
on here and we'll chat.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys, y'all take care. And bye
All right.
bye.
Take care, everyone.